fed up with scrubbing.
Excuse me, but you need Tidy Bowl. Here.
Oh, it's you, the Tidy Bowl man. Will this help?
Sure. With each flush, Tidy Bowl releases strong cleaners that help keep toilet bowls stain-free.
How do I know Tidy Bowl's cleaning?
The sparkling color tells you that it's working hard. Tidy Bowl's powerful and safe on plumbing.
That's great.
Comes in lemon fresh blue or pine scented green. With Tidy Bowl, you'll scrub less.
Safe on plumbing, too.
Another bowl of cereal. It just isn't breakfast.
Another cup of coffee.
It just isn't breakfast.
The chocolate-covered donut.
It just isn't breakfast.
Without eggs.
Fried eggs, poached eggs, scrambled eggs too. Soft-boiled sandwich, eggs will do. It just isn't breakfast.
Without eggs.
The incredible edible egg.
If you want your legs short shorts bare without nicks and cuts, just take up the Nair and take off the hair.
If you dare wear short shorts, Nair for short shorts.
Nair, lotion, cream, foam, and new lemon spray. Nair for short shorts.
The following program is brought to you in living color on NBC.
Hey, what time is it? It's Podblast!
That's right. It's Podblast time. How are you? How are you? How are you? It's been a minute. Glad you're here with us. This is your weird, informative, and hopefully fun time capsule of memories of days gone by as we forge ahead together in the game of life. Remember the Milton Bradley board game of life? I was more of a Monopoly man myself, but right now we are reminiscing about life, specifically pop culture history and life experiences that we all have in common. That's what this show, The Nostalgic Podblast, is all about. This is the nostalgia show with a bite, because it bites. I'm Chance Bartels, your host, no relation to Chance the Rapper. As Steve Harvey says at the beginning of Family Feud, we've got a good one for you today. And we really, really do, I think, in terms of the content I've prepared for you. If you want to leave a comment, those that are watching live, just simply leave a comment in the chat area and I will put it on the screen. Or if you wanted to call in old school, I do have a show dedicated phone line, and that phone number is 770-438-1050. Again, that's 770-438-1050. If you want, this is something for the listeners that are listening after the fact at Fistful of Radio out of Atlanta or Apple or Spotify, any audio-only platform. If you want to see the clips and the photos, I'm going to have these lovely actresses from the original Star Trek and other items we're going to discuss. Simply Google search or use the search engine of your preference and search The Nostalgic, with a C, not nostalgia, The Nostalgic Podblast. And at the very top, you'll see the YouTube channel. Click that. And then click the live tab, and you will see a photo, a thumbnail image of actress Susan Oliver, who played Vina in the original Star Trek pilot The Cage, which was re-edited into a classic two-part episode, the only two-parter of the original Star Trek, retitled The Menagerie. You'll see her on the far right as the green Orion slave girl, and 2 other images, or 3 images of her, Susan Oliver, one of the best actresses to appear in the original Star Trek. That's all you have to do. And then click that live tab, click that, and then you'll see this show. Quick disclaimer in terms of the video and audio clips that I'll present to you tonight in this educational lecture. I do not represent the owners of this material or any of its entities. This is a live educational interactive lecture for fellow fans in which I earn no proceeds in any way from this presentation. I do not own any of the movie clips or musical cues. No rights are given or are implied. I encourage all to purchase official releases of this material where applicable, as I have done. And all these clips are found on unofficial YouTube sources from other fan channels. Actually, I do earn revenue from the advertising, I must say. So that's this script I prepared was before I was monetized on YouTube. So I've got to be honest. I'm always going to be honest with the audience and the rights owners. All right. Now that said, let's get this nostalgic party started. I do want to take a peek at the chat and see who's here live. I know Kay Moonen was here earlier out of Florida. Let me get that screen up where I can see if anybody's watching live. And, oh, I see a lot of familiar faces and friends. Oh, my gosh. And that reminds me, I have to open some holiday cards, some Christmas cards that I got. I mean, here we are in almost April 2025, and I still have not opened some of these. And I haven't gone live in about 5 weeks. I got a bad cold. I've been busy, not making excuses. That's just the reality of the situation. But, hey, let's say hey to everybody in the chat right now.
You have a good day today, friends. I did.
I had a Superman day.
You had a Superman day? Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Spider-Man day.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. Well, you know what? Wait! You know what time it is? It's time for me to see the friends at home in the magic mirror. Romper bumper, stomper boo, tell me, do. Magic mirror, tell me today, did all my friends have fun at play? All my friends had fun today. I see David's having a special day today, and Olivia Joy had a special day on Sunday. And I see Robin had a special day yesterday, and Dana's having a special day today, and so is Reginald and Edward John and Margaret. And I see Justin and Megan and Courtney and Brick and Mark and Rachel and Sheila and Caroline are all having special days, and Cicely and Ashley and Matthew and Jose, and I see Bonnie and Anthony and Joe had special days yesterday, and so did Tammy and Brandon and Gregory, and of course, friends, you know I see you, and I'll see you again.
Wonderful, wonderful. Oh my gosh, you know, it's been a while since I've been live. I messed up right at the beginning of the show. And you can see my ugly mug. Usually I'm what they call backstage, and you don't see me until after the introduction, but it was a bit of a goof up there. And wouldn't you know it, there's an audio glitch too. I can't hear the audio clip, so I'm going to have to play a quick clip and then duck out and come back in. So let me find a clip, a nostalgic commercial to share with everybody. And we're going to play some trivia tonight, too. I have some taglines, advertising taglines. Where the game is taglines. I mention a tagline, and you try to guess. In this case, it'll be the restaurant, the sit-down chain restaurant that it's an advertisement for. But let me find a quick clip. And I have some great video. Let me play a quick clip while I duck out and duck right back in. Let's see one I haven't played in a while. That's why I play this one.
I used to be a lousy cook until I got a hold of Heinz 57 sauce. It's more than a great steak sauce. On the back of these bottles is my entire recipe collection. Great American meatloaf, sweet and sour pork chops. This is tangy chicken. Heinz 57 gives it a tangy flavor you can't get from any other sauce. With Heinz 57, even I can be a culinary success. Try Heinz 57 sauce. It's more than a steak sauce. A heck of a lot more.
That's better. All right. Now things are working. I could hear that clip, so that's good. Now, we're going to talk about the classic Star Trek actresses, and this is going to be part 1. I'm only going to cover basically the first half of season 1, because I realize this will take forever, and I know that Joe Gutfeld, who watches on Facebook Live out of New York State, he likes the trivia. He requested that I start with the trivia. I'm going to start with a little bit of the Star Trek, and also have some JT movie reviews, including a review of Daredevil, which is on Disney Plus as we're live. And you can stream that on Disney Plus if you're listening after the fact, maybe months into the future, even years into the future. It'll still be on Disney Plus. Not the Netflix Daredevil, talking about Daredevil Volume 2 on Disney+. So let's start with some Star Trek history. Oh, and hey to Tracy's Fractured History more. I did show the comment on the screen, but I just want to say audibly for the listeners who's out there, hey to Danny Staten, hey to Kay Moonen in Florida, hey to Jim Von Spiegel in Ohio State watching on our Facebook Live platform. And let's see, let me pull up the chat again. Tracy, yeah, in Florida. She's a sweetheart. Hey to Jerry Dobson, also in Ohio State. Hello to you. You just popped up in my feeds. And Skelly Tunn in England. I see Skelly Tunn is out there watching. And let me see. I am so rusty from not doing a show. It's like unreal. Let's go Mets, says Joe Gutfeld. I think that pretty much covers it. So now I'm going to get to the Star Trek portion, and I have some awesome video I want to share with you about classic Star Trek. So let's talk about Star Trek history. Classic Star Trek premiered way back on Thursday, September 8th, 1966 at 8:30 p.m. opposite My Three Sons and the start of the CBS Thursday night movie on CBS. So My Three Sons was on at 8:30. That's a half-hour show. Star Trek, of course, was a one-hour program. So the first half of Trek was opposite My Three Sons on CBS and then the start of the CBS Thursday night movie. And then over on ABC, opposite Star Trek and NBC, you had something called the Tammy Grimes Show and Bewitched on ABC, which in the 1966 to 1967 season, that was the first color season of Bewitched, which was season 3 of 8 of that classic bewitching program starring Elizabeth Montgomery. But Star Trek got bowled over and clobbered in the AC Nielsen ratings by ABC, particularly, and CBS. My Three Sons was a runaway hit, and it had just began its second season in color at that point in time. But in season 2 of Star Trek, NBC moved the show to Friday night at 8:30 instead of Thursday night at 8:30. So it pitted Star Trek in season 2 of Trek against another hit, Gomer Pyle, USMC on CBS, and the start of the CBS Friday night movie. And then on ABC, you had a show called Hondo taking on Star Trek. And it has nothing to do with SWAT. Remember the leader of SWAT, played by Steve Forrest? His character was Hondo. And that's the same name of the character in the CBS reboot, which has been on the air for many, many years in recent years. By the way, speaking of SWAT, did you know that the pilot was a season 3 episode of The Rookies on ABC? And to this day, that 2-hour pilot of SWAT has never been released on home video or seen since its original air date in February 1975. And that's where many of the scenes in the opening credits are from. Now, they released SWAT season 1 and 2 on DVD, but they never included the 2-hour pilot. So I'm hoping to find a 16-millimeter film print of that pilot. I've never seen it. I was like 4 years old when the show debuted, so I've never seen the 2-hour pilot. And The Rookies was released on DVD, but they only released seasons 1 and 2. So hopefully the distributors will pick up with season 3 of The Rookies, and we'll finally get to see that SWAT 2-hour pilot, which is a 2-hour episode of The Rookies in season 3 of The Rookies. All right. So after the Suits at NBC, which is a colloquialism for executives, in their infinite idiocy, the NBC programming executives moved Star Trek up on Friday night to 10 p.m. for season 3 of Trek, opposite the CBS Friday night movie, and a show called Judd for the Defense, which starred Carl Betts from the Donna Reed Show. He was the dad in the Donna Reed Show, Donna Reed's character's husband on the Donna Reed Show. And that was obviously a courtroom drama show, Judd for the Defense, over on ABC. Now, for summer reruns starting in June of 1969, after the show was canceled from new production, Trek went to a great night, Tuesday night at 7:30. But it was opposite The Mod Squad on ABC, which was showing reruns of season 1 of The Mod Squad by Aaron Spelling and Leonard Goldberg. And it was opposite a show called Lancer on CBS, Tuesday nights at 7:30. And that was for June of 1969. The last primetime Star Trek aired on Tuesday, September 2nd, 1969 at 7:30 p.m. So I said June, but June, July, August, and up until September 2nd, Star Trek did air Tuesday nights at 7:30. It's too bad that the network didn't give it one more shot. Now, we know Star Trek was supposed to be canceled actually after the first season and then again after the second season, if not for a letter writing campaign that B. Joe Trimble, who wrote the Star Trek Concordance and other books, she was one of the first Trekkers. She and others got together a massive letter writing campaign to save Star Trek. So before that all happened, a pilot was commissioned for Star Trek, actually two. There's a little bit of television history I want to tell you about coming up, but the very first pilot for Star Trek was titled The Cage. It was an hour and 4 minutes long, and it was filmed at the Desilu, that's of course Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz's studio, which became Paramount Studios, but the Star Trek pilot The Cage was filmed at Desilu Production Studio, now known as Culver Studios in Culver City, California, from Friday, November 27th, 1964, until mid-December 1964. And of course, Jeffrey Hunter portrayed Captain Christopher Pike. This is before there was a Captain James T. Kirk, or Captain James R. Kirk, played by William Shatner. Shatner didn't join the show until the second pilot. Everybody knows that. Anyone watching the show that knows nostalgia, you're probably into sci-fi TV, possibly. You know that. This is not news to you, but I must put that out there for anyone who doesn't know. Maybe Kay Munin didn't know that. Down in Florida. Now, post-production work on that first pilot, The Cage, like pickup shots and editing and scoring the music by Alexander Courage and special photographic effects of the models and sound effects, continued until Monday, January 18th, 1965. Now, let's talk about Susan Oliver. She was in the show. She's our first Star Trek actress, and I'm going to feature all of them, not just the quote-unquote babes. Let's show some pictures. I want to show you some photos really quickly of some of these actresses, starting with Susan Oliver. She was in my thumbnail image, and here she is. Here's our first Star Trek, I'll say babe, because I'm going to feature some of the babes. Here she is, Susan Oliver. Isn't she pretty? Oh, whoa, sorry. I hit the wrong button. No, I really didn't. That was weak delivery on my part, my little joke. That is her character, Vina, her true appearance. She crashed onto Talos 4. That was the name of the planet. And the aliens on that world had the power of illusion. And so this is what she looked like 18 years into the future. They had never seen a human body. They tried to rebuild her. We can rebuild him. We have the technology. We can rebuild her. But they didn't do a very good job. And I thought that makeup was really, really cool. Now, let's show the true appearance of Susan Oliver at that time in 1964. There she is in many incarnations of the character of Vina, who appeared to Captain Christopher Pike in the form of many enticing illusions. Perfect for St. Patrick's Day. On the far right, anyone that's watching, you can see her makeup as Vina, the Planet Orion slave girl, who's tempting Captain Christopher Pike. Now, true story. Gene Roddenberry, the great bird of the galaxy, the creator of Star Trek, he told this story about his frustration with the photo processing plant. He kept sending the Cage for photo processing, and they would send it back with color correction on Vina. They would tint her green makeup flesh colored. And he sent it several times at great expense. Finally, he made a phone call and said, look, she's supposed to be green. What are you doing? They're like, oh, we thought there was something wrong with the film stock. Nope. That was intentional. So that is our first Star Trek actress. Now I'm going in production order. I'll explain who the first Star Trek actress was in terms of the NBC viewers back in 1966, September 8th, 1966, to be precise. There are other actresses in that pilot, The Cage, I want to talk about briefly. Here is one right here. This is Laurel Goodwin, who played J.M. Colt, who was a yeoman, and she fantasized about Captain Christopher Pike, it was revealed. And by the way, the Telosians, who had the power of illusion, I'll show you one right now. They were all played by women. They were voiced by male actors like Malachi Throne. But, and Gene Roddenberry is correct, he thought that they would look alien if you cast women as these male actors. I'll show you one now if I could freaking find it. Oh, you know what? I can't show you because it'll give something away. But you've seen the episode, the menagerie, the two-parter, and the cage. You know what the makeup looked like. They had throbbing heads, and they used there was an air pump device where there'd be like a vein and a straw thing in the temple of these giant misshapen heads that would pump when they were thinking or when they were communicating with each other. The Telosians, the aliens with each other, you just see this vein surging and pumping in their temples. It was really a cool effect for 1964. But that's Laurel Goodwin. Let me just tell you a little bit about Laurel Goodwin. She was born on Tuesday, August 11th, 1942 in Wichita, Kansas. Sadly, she passed away on Friday, February 25th, 2022 at the age of 79. She's also known for her role as the love interest of Elvis Presley in the 1962 film Girls, 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 as well as appearing as, of course, Yeoman J.M. Colt in the rejected by the NBC Suits executive Star Trek pilot episode The Cage. So there she is. Also, I won't show you a photo. In that pilot was another female actress, Majel Barrett, who later played Christine Chapel. She played number 1. She was credited as Emily Hudak. We'll talk about her later in the Menagerie. And she wound up marrying Gene Roddenberry, the executive producer and creator of the original Star Trek. So let's move on to the second pilot, Where No Man's Gone Before. Now, what happened was, this was a piece of television history in terms of an unprecedented thing that happened. The NBC Suits thought that The Cage was too cerebral. Their words, not mine. It made people think too much. We think that people just like to watch Westerns. They want to see a fight. They want to see a knockdown, drag-out fight. So could you pump up the action and put a little less thought into the script, Mr. Gene Roddenberry? He said, of course I can. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'll make it so. And so there were 3 scripts he wrote for a second pilot. One was The Omega Glory. One was Mud's Women, and one was Where No Man's Gone Before. The network went with Where No Man's Gone Before because of the climactic fight. And in that pilot was one of the most attractive actresses ever to grace Star Trek. I'm talking about Sally Kellerman, who in the movies would play Hot Lips in MASH. Couple of years before the TV show. MASH was released in 1970 by 20th Century Fox. And of course, Loretta Swit played the character in the television show, which starred Alan Alda. So Sally Kellerman, I took that photo from my Blu-ray. Paramount Home Video released a Blu-ray set and a 4K set of Star Trek, the original series. And what I like is they give you the choice to watch the effects with the original special effects or with the enhanced special effects of 2005 to 2009, in which Star Trek re-entered syndication in 2006. Weekly, each weekend, they would unveil a remastered episode. And it was in random order. It wasn't in production order or aired order, as I recall. It would be random in terms of various seasons. And there were some things they corrected properly and some things they corrected that they failed to correct that they should have corrected. But that's another story. Like in The Enemy Within, with the Kirk split into 2 halves, there's a blank view screen. They never superimposed a Starfield in the original episode, and they never corrected that. And it's like, why didn't they correct that? That's such an obvious correction. And then in the Corbomite Maneuver, which is the first regular 1-hour episode filmed after the 2 pilots, that's the one with Clint Howard, Ron Howard's little brother from Gentle Ben, playing a benevolent alien who uses a puppet and tricks to scare off aliens because he's really a little scaredy cat. And Ted Cassidy, Lurch from the Addams Family, voiced the character of Ballard. He's like, and he claimed to have a device that would, or he was claimed he's going to destroy the U.S. Enterprise, and he'd say, "You now have 2 minutes left." And they never dubbed, "You now have 1 minute left." And Sulu reacts to that undubbed line, and they never corrected that in the remastered editions, and that just blew my mind. But also, along with Sally Kellerman, let me just tell you a little bit about her. And one of my favorite roles of hers was in Back to School, 20 years after Where No Man's Gone Before, which was filmed, by the way, in 1965, the first one with Shatner. She played, of course, Rodney Dangerfield's character's girlfriend. And she also voiced those Hidden Valley Ranch commercials on TV. She had a very sultry voice. But Sally Kellerman was born on Wednesday, June 2nd, 1937 in Long Beach, California. And as I said previously, most knew her as the original Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan in the movie MASH, released on January 25th, 1970, filmed in 1969, which earned her a Best Supporting Actress and Oscar nomination. Back to School, that I just mentioned, was released on June 13th, 1986. But of course, I, being the geek that I am and a huge Trekker, I recall seeing Sally Kellerman acting in that second Star Trek pilot, the first Trek filmed with William Shatner as Captain James T. Kirk, shot in 1965, where No Man's Gone Before, seen in this photo. She also was in, you may recall, 2 episodes of the original Outer Limits, both airing in season 1 in black and white, both filmed in 1963, in mid and late 1963. She acted opposite Martin Landau in one of her episodes, and she was in the 3rd filmed episode titled The Human Factor, which was like a Freaky Friday type episode where a psychologist, his brain is switched with a psychotic character. And so it's just like Freaky Friday. It's actually a pretty cool episode. And it's like The Thing, because they're in a frozen wasteland in The Human Factor. Sally Kellerman also guest starred in an episode of the Quinn Martin sci-fi drama The Invaders in season 2 of that program, which aired actually on my birthday, but before I was born, on November 21st, 1967. That episode is titled Labyrinth. But I say rest in peace to Sally Kellerman. She was 84 years of age when she passed away on Wednesday, February 24th, 2022. I just loved her voice. And she was really pretty, and it's great that these people are captured forever on film and video. Really, really good stuff. Now, there are also some other actresses and actors. We're going to talk about the women, the actresses, the women in the cast that were fired by those suits. They made changes after the first pilot, and they wanted to kill Leonard Nimoy's character of Mr. Spock, but Gene Roddenberry, creator of Star Trek and executive producer, put his foot down. He says, you cannot take out this character. And they said, he looks too satanic with the upswept eyebrows and the pointed ears. What are you trying to do here, Gene? He said, just stay tuned. He'll be a hit. And he was. He was the most popular character with fans of the original Star Trek. When it was new and on the air, and NBC received more fan mail than anybody by far in the cast. So he was right. But there were other characters. I'm going to show you one right now, and I'm going to show you a clip of her. Oh, you know what I meant to do? I got a clip of The Cage, the first pilot. Before I move on, I already moved on to Where No Man's Gone Before, so I'm messing up bad tonight, but I'll forgive myself. It's been a while since I've gone live. Let's look at a clip of The Cage. It's only 30 seconds. And it is right here. How you doing? Good to see you. Let's watch the trailer for The Cage, which did not have William Shatner. It had Jeffrey Hunter, who also played Jesus Christ in King of Kings. He sadly died. He didn't make it out of the 1960s. But let's watch a little 30-second preview for The Cage.
Before Kirk, there was another captain of the Enterprise.
My name is Christopher Pike, commander of the Space Vehicle Enterprise.
Witnessed the first voyage.
Mr. Spock here.
And relived a mission.
Let me please you.
That launched the entire Trek universe.
Try anything at all, I'll break your neck.
Your ship will destroy it.
Star Trek.
Your ship, release me, it will destroy it. That's Malachi Throne that voiced that. That's Meg Wiley playing that Telosian that was about to get choked out by Captain Christopher Pike. And she was seen in the classic Twilight Zone Night of the Meek, starring Art Carney as a drunken Santa Claus, or actually becomes Santa Claus. He's a department store Santa Claus who gets fired for drinking on the job. And she was I guess the nun, you would say. She's singing and playing the organ. That's one of her many roles. She did a lot of Westerns. You'd recognize her. She's been in a lot of things. Meg Wiley. Anyway, there's The Cage preview. Might as well show you a preview of Where No Man's Gone Before since I'm talking about that. And you'll see a little piece of Andrea Drom. And then I have another clip of Andrea Drom. You're like, who the hell's Andrea Drom? She played Yeoman Smith. Later replaced by Grace Lee Whitney when the show was picked up. as a weekly series by NBC. But let's look at this preview for Where No Man's Gone Before, the aired version. The unaired pilot had many differences, I'll say before I play the clip. It had Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 at the beginning of each act after the commercial break, just like The Fugitive would do or The Invaders. And when it became a weekly series, they did away with that format. And also it had a different theme song by Alexander Courage. He jettisoned the theme heard in The Cage, which was the familiar, the Enterprise theme, Star Trek theme. I can't even hum it or I'll probably get hit with some copyright claim. But it had lyrics too. Remember, remember me. I'm not going to sing it. I can't sing. The lyrics were really bad. And so they actually were lyrics for the original Star Trek theme. But in Where No Man's Gone Before, Alexander Courage created an entirely new theme that you heard in the incidental music of the series, but that's about it. But anyway, here's the next week preview for Where No Man's Gone Before, which would have aired, I think, third in the rotation. I'm going in production order right now, but I think it's third. It's after Charlie X. Let me just look. I got this book here. It's in the aired order. That's a pet peeve of mine that in syndication, Star Trek is now shown in the aired order and not the production order. It used to always air in production order for decades, and now it's an aired order on MeTV on their Saturday night, and that's not their fault. It's a distributor, Paramount, that does that. Yes, Where No Man's Gone Before was the third aired episode in aired order. But let's look at that trailer preview for Where No Man's Gone Before. It's 1 minute long.
Captain's log, stardate 1312.4. The next mission of the Enterprise takes us into an unknown force field which affects the destiny of my closest friend.
I understand you least of all. Gary told me that you've been friends since he joined the service, that you asked for him aboard your first command.
It is my duty, whether pleasant or unpleasant, to listen to the reports, observations, even speculations on any subject that might affect the safety of this vessel.
It's like a man who has been blind all of his life, suddenly being given sight. Sometimes I feel there's nothing I couldn't do in time. Some people think that makes me a monster, don't they, Jip?
What would you do in my place?
Kill me?
Really cool. Now, the tombstone did not say James T. Kirk. It said James R. Kirk. So that was something I referenced earlier. I don't know if you can see a shot in there, but you did see a shot of Andrea Drom. Let me show you her picture and tell you a little bit about Andrea Drom as Yeoman Smith. She was a beautiful lady, but she wasn't a very good actress, at least not in Where No Man's Gone Before, in my opinion. There she is. Lovely, lovely lady, and she is still with us, knock on wood, as we're live. She's still alive. I love that autographed card, little bonus card in the card sets. And here she is on the set with Gary Lockwood, and Where No Man's Gone Before, the second pilot. I'm going to play a clip that I put together from my Blu-ray set, where I zoomed in on her. Clear copyright, so so you can see how bad her acting is, where she's reacting to the USS Enterprise leaving the Milky Way galaxy and encountering the Great Barrier. That's one thing I didn't mention yet. The other difference in the unaired version of Where No Man's Gone Before is there's a nice introduction that sets up what the show's about, narrated by William Shatner. We're about to leave that vast, what we know is the Milky Way galaxy. Behind us, Earth, Mars, Venus, even our sun are specks of dust or something like that. And now the Enterprise is a probe out into Where No Man's Gone Before. And then the new theme popped in with this great drum beat. Bum, 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 bum. Anyway, they cut all that out, and it was kind of cool because it set up, you just see our Milky Way galaxy, and you see a little bit of the barrier. And that was released on the Blu-ray later, the unaired version of Where No Man's Gone Before. I have a 16mm film print of it. When they released it on the Blu-ray, I think in 2008, that really made the value of my film print go down. But I'm glad they did for everyone else to enjoy. Let's look at Andrea Drom's weak acting as she reacts to a special effect. I mean, she was good in other things I'd seen her in, but just watch this 28-second clip that I put together for you today. That's why I was late. I was doing a lot of pre-production work on tonight's live stream. But watch her acting here. It's not good. When she reacts to an explosion, she goes, ee, She doesn't, you don't hear her, but watch. She goes, just watch how weak her reactions are here.
Gravitation on automatic.
You see that? It's not the best acting. It's terrible reactions. So I can see why the network said, you know, she's a real pretty girl. She can't act worth a flip. Let's watch that again.
Gravitation on automatic.
Come on now. Okay. I'm not trying to rag on the lady. I just thought that was rather not very good reacting there. Okay. So that's Andrea Drum as Yeoman Smith. And thank goodness she's still alive at the age of 84 at the moment. So that's good. That's really good. She was born in Long Island, New York on Tuesday, February 18th, 1941. I think I have another picture of her I wanted to show you all. Let's see. Right here. I showed you the autographed one. No, damn it. Yeah, that's it. Again, look at her react. I did show them all. Okay. Now we're ready to move on to someone else very important in the show. Now, that there were other examples of actors like Paul Fix, who played the ship's doctor in Where No Man's Gone Before, of course, replaced by DeForest Kelley as Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy, and many other examples. Paul Carr was in Where No Man's Gone Before as the helmsman. But you did see Sulu for the first time and Scotty in Where No Man's Gone Before. They made their first appearances, and they made the cut after that second pilot. So I want to talk about Andrea Drum a little bit more, though, really quickly. Her career began as a child model at the age of 6. Let me put her picture back up. Gosh darn it. I'm messing up bad tonight. Let's put her up. She's a lot prettier in my face. Hang on. Hey, Terrell. I can see comments now. Okay, let me put her picture up so you know what we're talking about. There's her name. All right, so Andrea Drum. Some history about Andrea Drum really briefly. Still alive, as I said, 84 years of age, born February 18th, 1941. Drum's career began as a child model at the age of 6, but she later felt it interfered with her schoolwork. She attended the University of Connecticut, where she studied drama, acting, and student productions of The Diary of Anne Frank, The Crucible, and Romeo and Juliet. She dropped out and hitchhiked to San Francisco, California, but eventually returned to college for her degree, after which she began work as a New York model, signing with the Eileen Ford Agency. Her career rose dramatically after her appearance in a National Airlines television commercial in 1963 as a stewardess, now called flight attendant, asking, quote, "Is this any way to run an airline? You bet it is." On the strength of that ad's popularity, she was urged to seek a Hollywood career. Her first job was in Star Trek, playing Yeoman Smith in Where No Man's Gone Before, the show's second pilot. Andrea Drum, then, after being rejected by the NBC executives when the show was picked up as a weekly 1-hour series, she moved on to do The Russians Are Coming in 1966, in which she played a teenaged babysitter who falls in love with a handsome Soviet sailor, or Soviet, as Richard Anderson, the actor, says, who played Oscar Goldman in The $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. I love this guy. I've met him several times. God rest his soul. He's no longer with us, but he pronounced a couple words, let's just say, differently. One of them was Soviet. He would say, "Steve, it's a Soviet agent. He's a Soviet." And the other one was sadist instead of sadist. He said, in one of the most highest rated TV hours in television history, the final episode of The Fugitive, The Judgment Part 2. He's one of several actors to play Leonard the husband of Richard Kimball's sister, Donna. He was the fourth actor to play that character, and he had the honor of playing him in that. And he'd already played a detective previously in that same season 4 of The Fugitive, the only color season. They reused actors all the time on Quinn Martin shows. I mean, in the 60s, 70s, they would just reuse notable actors that played notable roles. It was kind of frustrating. It's like they just put a new head or an old head on a new character, really. That's what it is. They put an old head on a new character. It's really annoying. But, oh, yeah, so Richard Anderson would say he talked to Lieutenant Philip Gerard, played by the great Barry Morse. And what are you, some kind of a sadist, Lieutenant Gerard? What are you, some sort of a sadist? It's like, why wouldn't a script supervisor or someone on the set say, Richard is a sadist? Anyway, I've told that story several times. But okay, so anyway, Andrea Drum was in The Russians Are Coming, playing a teenage babysitter who falls in love with a handsome Soviet sailor. She then co-starred in Come Spy With Me in 1967, which was a spy spoof that fell flat with audiences and critics alike. She also appeared as a hostess of a TV special on surfing. After this experience, she returned to New York modeling, and for a time was the Clairol summer blonde girl who appeared in television and print ads in that ad campaign. In 1988, People magazine reported that she was living on real estate investments and splitting her time between homes in the Hamptons, Long Island, New York, and Palm Beach, Florida. So she was very successful in the real estate game. That's what a lot of actresses did. You know, when the career waned, you had to have something to fall back on, and a lot of them became realtors and real estate agents. Now, at last, we can move on to the regular weekly series of Star Trek in production order as we're continuing talking about actresses. Then we'll get to the trivia and Taglines game. But I got to talk about this lady. And let me pull up her picture. I keep pulling up the wrong screen. Got to talk about Grace Lee Whitney as Yeoman Rand. Yeoman Janice Rand. Sadly, she's no longer with us. I met her in New York City, Labor Day weekend 2000, in which she signed this for me. Listeners, I'm putting I have it on the screen, an 8x10 promotional glossy for Star Trek. She was supposed to be part of the quartet. You know, you had Captain James T. Kirk, Science Officer Spock, Leonard Bones McCoy, and Yeoman Rand. Those were going to be the four main characters. And then, again, the network suits interfered and said, wait a minute, we want Captain Kirk to have relationships with our lovely guest actresses. That's how television works. It keeps the viewers interested. It keeps the ratings up. So we can't have her. Plus, allegedly, there were some issues with alcohol that Grace Lee Whitney had, and she gained weight. So, you know, there were some other factors, reportedly, as to why she was replaced. But thankfully, Leonard Nimoy and others brought her back for the movies. Many of the Star Trek motion pictures of the late 70s and the 1980s. Actually, Robert Wise, the director of Star Trek the Motion Picture, really brought her back before Leonard Nimoy directed a thing for the Star Trek movies. First movie he directed was Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. Going to talk about a convention coming up in the Atlanta, Georgia area where one of the actors from The Search for Spock will be there, and one of the actresses I'm going to feature in just a moment will be there as well. And I'll be there too in early April 2025. All right, so there's Grace Lee Whitney. Look at these other promotional. This is proof that she was supposed to be a focal character. Look at these. These are rarely seen promotional shots. I love the shot of her on the right with her hair down. And here's a wallpaper collage of Grace Lee Whitney as Yeoman Janice Rand. She was going to be Captain Kirk's main squeeze and confidant, like his space wife, if you will, on the USS Enterprise. At least his work wife on the show, confidant, which I guess Leonard Bones McCoy sort of became, you know, one of his best friends and the person he, you know, opened up to when he had a problem. Look at this one. Here's her book cover, Grace Lee Whitney's book, The Longest Trek, My Tour of the Galaxy. And that is another promotional picture, just proving my point that she was going to be one of the main stars. Now look at the uniform that Captain Kirk's wearing. Notice his wrist, above his wrist. Those are what that's what the uniform looked like in Where No Man's Gone Before. They made slight changes. Same with Yeoman Rand. She has a Where No Man's Gone Before yeoman's tunic. And look at Leonard Nimoy as Spock. He had like a raised turtleneck in the first couple of episodes in production order, The Cobra Mike Maneuver and Mud's Women. And then it became more familiar. So he has that raised, and that's when he was a Vulcanian. They referred to Vulcans as Vulcanians in the first half of season 1 of Star Trek. I think even in, I think the last time he was referred to as a Vulcanian was in a late season 1 episode, This Side of Paradise, 25th in production order, with the spores. And yeah, because Elias says, the Vulcanian? You love him? Or something like that. Anyway, but he refers to him as a Vulcanian in that episode. That was like the last time that you heard that term. Now look at this nice signed card, a graded card, signed by Grace Lee Whitney, who played Yeoman Janice Rand. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. That's the 2019 Star Trek Inflections Grace Lee Whitney card. Excuse me. So I got to mention her. She was introduced in, the third episode in production order. Hang on, where's my notes? Yeah, and I want to tell you a little bit about her personal life. Grace Lee Whitney was born on Tuesday, April 1st, April Fool's Day. Same as the fictional character of Jeannie in I Dream of Jeannie. That's her birthday. In the fictional Jeannie land, April Fool's Day is Jeannie's birthday. In, 2000 BC. Anyway, Grace Lee Whitney was born on Tuesday, April 1st, 1930, as Mary Ann Chase in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Grace Lee Whitney was the original Chicken of the Sea mermaid character created in 1952 for that ad campaign. She came to play the iconic mermaid character while appearing on the Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy show on CBS Radio. The show was broadcast in front of a live studio audience with Grace Lee Whitney in costume singing the tuna jingle. The film debut of Grace Lee Whitney was in House of Wax in 1953. Vincent Price. 3D movie. Great horror movie. Although she amassed a long list of over 100 diverse acting credits, Grace Lee Whitney was best known as portraying Yeoman Janice Rand in 8 episodes of Star Trek in 1966. Many who worked with her felt that Whitney was unfairly terminated from the Star Trek cast in the middle of production of season 1. So she returned, as I already mentioned, in Star Trek The Motion Picture in 1979, which began filming in August of 1978. 9 years after the original show was canceled. The live-action show, I'm not counting the animated show, of 1973. Grace Lee Whitney also appeared in the Star Trek films. I already mentioned the Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock, but I didn't mention that she's in Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home. Those two were both directed by Leonard Nimoy, and she was in Star Trek 6: The Undiscovered Country from 1991, directed by Nicholas Meyer, who also directed previously Star Trek 2: The Wrath of Khan, in which she portrayed communications officer of the USS Excelsior, with the promotion of Lieutenant Commander Janice Rand. 5 years later, to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Star Trek franchise, she returned in the 1996, the year of the Atlanta Olympics, Star Trek Voyager episode titled Flashback, along with George "Oh My" Takei, who played Sulu. Sadly, Grace Lee Whitney passed away on Friday, May 1st, 2015, at the age of 85. And May 1st is my mom's birthday, for what it's worth. So, anyway. So rest in peace to Grace. She really was good in some of the original episodes in which she and Kirk had moments, romantic moments, like in Miri. Back on the ship, I tried to get you to look at my legs. Captain, look at my legs. And her legs have those varicose veins times 100. Ugh! Look like little parasites all over her legs. And then she had a moment too, of course, in Charlie X, and in one of my favorite is, it's subtle, is in Balance of Terror, the 9th produced episode that introduced the Romulans, the first episode that an actor who later played Spock's father, Leonard. There's a moment where, like, the Romulan ship. Oh, hell, I got one right here. I'll show you. Here's my model I built of the Romulan ship, the Bird of Prey. Let me take this off so you can see it right here. It would fire a plasma weapon, and you'd see like this big flame, coming out of the front of the ship. It would take time, just like sound waves take time to travel. or radio waves. The weapon would take time to reach its destination of destruction, its target. And so she snuggles up to Kirk on the bridge right before it hits, and it's a cool little subtle moment. But what was that actor's name? Mark Leonard, who played the commander in Balance of Terror. The first time you saw really a space battle in production order, but it aired later. It was the 9th episode filmed because it took a while for the special effects back then to be filmed showing the ship. Look at that. I love it. I built this back in 1986. I'm old. I was a kid at the time. But that's what that looks like. There's that. Here's another shot of Grace Lee Whitney from the 5th produced episode, The Enemy Within. Great acting, where Kirk is split into two halves by the transporter, a good half and an evil half. It's like Jekyll and Hyde, and he attacks Yeoman Janice Rand. So it's revealed that obviously he's got the hots for her. That's what they're saying. He's got the hots for her, which was already sort of established more subtly. But anyway, so there's that. That's Grace Lee Whitney. Rest in peace to Grace. Now, that was the 5th. I know I jumped order, but we're talking about Grace. She was introduced in the 3rd episode, and she only had one line. It was very lackluster in the Corbomite maneuver. Her line is, I used a hand phaser in Zap. Oh, let me do it right. I used a hand phaser in Zap. Hot coffee. That was her line. The first acting she did. The last acting she did was in the 13th episode, and she didn't even have a line. They cut it out, but it's on a Blu-ray set from Gene Roddenberry's actual reels. She did have dialogue, but she encounters Barbara Anderson, one of the babes, one of the best-looking actresses to ever grace the original Star Trek set, and The Conscience of the King, the 13th in production order. We're not going to talk about her tonight. I'm only going through the first 11 episodes of Trek because I got to get to the trivia. I'm going to do this over several weeks. We're going to talk about all of the main Star Trek actresses. So let's talk about the 4th episode in production order, which was the 2nd regular 1-hour show produced. Talking about Mudd's Women. There they are. Lovely ladies. And I've got a lot to say about them. Let's watch a clip from Mudd's Women that I prepared for you. I think I have it right here. This is the next week original preview trailer to Mudd's Women. I can freaking find it. I hope this is it.
Captain's log, stardate 1329.1. The Enterprise brings aboard the survivors of an ill-fated vessel.
Hello.
And the ladies? Is this your crew, Captain?
This is me cargo.
I read once a commander has to act like a paragon of virtue. I never met a paragon.
Neither have I. Mr. Walsh, I'm convening a ship's hearing on your actions. Mr. Spock will supply you with any legal information you may need.
You're a hard-nosed one, Captain.
And you're a liar, Mr. Walsh.
Take the one side, you'll get killed.
Just have those crystals here when I get back.
Once you're in a raffle, the loser gets me. These women are taking drugs by Harry Mudd to augment their appearance, and it was a very preposterous script because in the end they didn't really need the drug to look pretty, or at least she didn't buy it. I mean, no, it just wasn't plausible. It was a nice message, and that was one of the scripts for the 2nd pilot. Talked about that earlier for Star Trek that Gene Roddenberry proposed to the network, but they went with Where No Man's Gone Before. So let's talk about these women now. Let me put their picture back up so I can show you who I mean. There's 3, obviously. Let's see here. And I'll put I'm going to address the chat and put your comments on the screen. I'm sorry, I'm doing this solo. It's kind of tough. All right, so here is the photo of the ladies right there. That's Mudd's Women, obviously. And let's talk about the woman on the left. Sorry, listeners. The woman on the left is actress Karen Steele, who played Eve McHuron. She was born on March 20th, 1931. And sadly, she passed away at the age of 56 from cancer on March 12th, 1988. Let me just check something here. And she was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. She was in Kingman, Arizona when she passed away in 1988 on March 12th at the age of 56, unfortunately. And then you had Susan Denberg. Susan Denberg is on the far right as Magda Kovacs. She was born as Dietland Zeckner on August 2nd, 1941 in Germany, in Bad Pölzin, Pomerania, Germany. I probably mangled that. And she passed away sadly at the age of 80, Susan Denberg on the far right. She was a Playboy playmate as well in 1966. She was a German-Austrian model and actress, and she appeared on stage and on film, notably in Frankenstein Created Woman in 1967. She adopted Susan Denberg as a stage name. She became a chorus dancer and a 1966 playmate Miss August of 66. In addition, she did stage and dancing in London and in Las Vegas, Nevada. In 1966, she appeared in Mud's Women, as you know. Let me look at the air date. Oh, it's in my book. Let's see. It aired on October 13th, 1966, the 4th episode produced of Star Trek. Now let's talk about Maggie Threat. She played Ruth. And I have some great pictures to show you of her. Let me find them. Where are you, my little friend? There she is, hugging Shatner. I like that. Isn't that cool? I love that picture, even though it's in black and white. That's a cool publicity shot. And there are a lot of pictures of her with Spock, Leonard Nimoy. Now note, that's the 4th episode produced. Like I said earlier, look at the turtleneck, if you will, of Spock. It's a little bit higher than normal. It's the highest of all in the previous episode in production order, the Corbomite maneuver. Anyway, funny blooper. Her boob kept falling out of this dress in this particular scene. There's an autograph shot I'm showing for the viewers where she, it's like they would put the Vaseline around the frame of the camera to create a sultry, sexy effect in the first season of Star Trek. Outer Limits did that too. When it would show a pretty, beautiful woman or sexy woman, they would have like a little soft image. And so she's sort of going like this side by side. And her breast, and it's in the blooper reel, falls out. You see her nipple, and the crew starts laughing. So you can find that. I didn't want to play that clip. You can find it on YouTube. I have it on 16mm film. But let's talk a little bit about Maggie. So Maggie Threat as Ruth Bonaventure. Her real name is Diane Pine. She was born on November 18th, 1946, and unfortunately she passed away on December 18th, 2022, at the age of 66. At the age of 15, she made her off-Broadway debut in 1962 in Out Brief Candle. By the age of 18, she was regularly performing as a dancer in Trude Hellers in Greenwich Village, New York, as observed in the 1965 edition of Harper's Bazaar magazine. As a vocalist, she actually recorded a single under her birth name entitled Lucky Girl for Take 3 Records in 1964. And had a minor U.S. hit as Maggie Threat in 1965 with Soupy, like Soupy Sales, produced by Bob Crew and issued on the Dino Voice, formerly Dino Vox record label. Billboard journalist Aaron Sternfield, reviewing a live performance at Bazin Street, East New York on July 15, 1965, wrote that she, quote, has a magnificent range. Her phrasing and timing are near perfect, and she blends the right combination of sex and satire. I thought she was the best looking of the Mud's women myself. In 1966, Threat went to Hollywood to further her acting career. As an actress, she had, of course, that role in Star Trek, Mud's Women, and in the comedy movie 3 in the Attic in 1968. She appeared as a prostitute in the movie Cover Me Babe from 1970. Having signed a contract to Universal Studios, she is reported to have used her life savings to buy out her contract prior to appearing in 3 in the Attic for American International Pictures. In May of 1970, Maggie Threat was involved in a road accident while a passenger... Hang on, take 2. In May of 1970, Maggie Threat was involved in a road accident while she was a passenger on singer-songwriter Graham Parsons' motorcycle. She was apparently unharmed. Parsons, meanwhile, suffered significant injuries. Maggie Threat's last appearance on television was in 1974 on the show Run, Joe, Run with her then husband, Donnelly Rhodes. She continued her musical career under her birth name, Diane Pine, as a studio backup singer until the mid-1980s. Threat was married to Canadian actor Donnelly Rhodes from 1975 to 1977, and she died in Hyde Park, New York, on December 18th, 2022, at the age of 76. Rest in peace. She was just drop dead gorgeous. So let's see where we are now. I have some really interesting female actors on Star Trek, or actresses, if you will. Let's talk about this one. This is from the 6th episode in production order, but this was the first episode that aired of Star Trek. Here she is. What a babe. No, that is the M113 salt vampire creature, or the crater creature, if you will, Professor Crater's illusion. Now, why do I list her as one of the actresses? Well, because she was. That was Sandra Gimple. There she is without the mask. And she also played a Telosian in the cage. This is the photo I was trying to show earlier. I won't give it away. There she is. There's a close-up picture of her too, but you can barely see there. But there's some other things she's done over the years. She was in Battlestar Galactica, the 3-hour pilot, 3-hour premiere episode, as an Ovion creature. She was in Airplane. She's been in a lot of things, and she's going to be in Atlanta. I want to tell you now really quickly about this great convention, Stellar Fest, in Atlanta, Georgia. She's going to be a guest. I'm going to interview her for the Nostalgic Podblast in the media room. I've been invited to do that. She also did stunts. There she is on the right. I knew I had a picture of her as a Telosian with the huge head, with the vein in the temple. There she is. Now, you can get tickets now on the website if you go to Stellar Fest. Let me pull that up. It's April 4th through the 6th, 2025 in Duluth, Georgia, and Gwinnett County. And I'm going to be there all 3 days. And there's a lot of other interesting guests that will be there as well. Let me find this for you and tell you. I can tell you a little bit about her, but let me find that. Yeah, Stellar Fest. Also, Marta Kristen will be there. Judy Robinson from the original Lost in Space. And then the actor who played Spock when he's going through Pon farr in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. He actually mates in the book adaptation, the novelization, with Saavik, and she becomes pregnant. Anyway, she helps him out. But Sandra Gimple, who was the salt vampire creature, the woman beneath the mask, will be there. And you can meet her along with the other guests I've just mentioned. So let me get the website. I want to make sure I have that right. I didn't prepare that in time. Doggone it. Let me find that. Where did I do that? Stellar Fest. Let me just direct you to their website. Stellar Fest. Stellarfest.org, not .com. Go to Stellar, S-T-E, Stella! Marlon Brando, I'm sorry, terrible. On the waterfront, no. Stellarfest.org, STELLARFEST.org. Go to stellarfest.org for more information about the hotel, about the guests, and it's very reasonably priced for admission. It's the ultimate event in Atlanta for sci-fi enthusiasts. Check it out. All right, so now I want to tell you a little bit about Sandra Gimple, who was the creature in the first aired episode of Star Trek back on September 8th, 1966, although it was the 6th episode in production order. Let's see, Sandra Gimple. Oh, crap, it jumped. Just a moment. I don't have a clip of this. I've played this before. The trailer for the Man Trap is the name of the episode with the salt vampire. I just want to tell you a little bit about Sandra Gimple. Sandra Lee Gimple. Okay, she's still with us, obviously. Let's see if I can find some on her. She's known as the stunt woman to the stars. Okay. Sandra Gimple was a dancer in Los Angeles before being an extra for Central Casting. One of those jobs was for the Star Trek original series first pilot, The Cage, given, quote, they knew I could handle costume work and stuff from dancing. And in The Cage, Gimple played a Telosian and worked briefly as a stunt double for Meg Wiley, who played the main Telosian, for which she filmed her scenes on Wednesday, December 16th, 1964, on Desilu Culver Stage 15. The costume work led her to being cast as the M113 creature, or salt vampire, as it were, in The Man Trap, filming her scene on Friday, June 24th, 1966, at Desilu Stage 9. Gimple also worked as an extra in later episodes of Star Trek. According to her own recollections, she also worked on both Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Enterprise. Between 1966 and 1968, Gimple worked as Bill Mooney's stunt double in the last 2 seasons of Lost in Space, hired by stunt coordinator Paul Stater. She appeared in stunt roles in numerous films, including The Towering Inferno in 1974, shot in 73 with Paul Comey, who was also in Star Trek, Episode 9, Balance of Terror, with the Romulans. He played a prejudiced Starfleet Command bridge officer of the USS Enterprise. Anyway, he's the one that give it to Spock. He was the one that was thinking that Spock was a Romulan spy when they saw on the view screen what the Romulans looked like. They looked like Vulcans with the pointed ears and upside eyebrows. Anyway, Sondra Gimple appeared in stunt roles in numerous films, including The Towering Inferno in 74 with Paul Comey, Elizabeth Rogers, David Armstrong, Robert Strong. She was in Airplane in 1980, the great comedy, the spoof of the Airport 74, 75, 77 movies with Jonathan Banks and others. She also worked on Escape from New York with Adrienne Barbeau, Night of the Comet, The Goonies, Commando, Evil Dead 2, The Lost Boys, Twins. She stayed really active into the 80s. Oh my gosh. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, The Rock, Jingle All the Way, Con Air, The Truman Show, Mystery Men, The Rat Race, The Animal, Bruce Almighty, Charlie Wilson's War, Norbit, Planet Terror, The Incredible Burt Wonderstone in 2013. She does not let up. She also worked as a second unit director on Mrs. Columbo, starring Kate Mulgrew, who later would, of course, play Captain Janeway in Star Trek Voyager. And that was supposed to be Lindsay Wagner. Lindsay Wagner turned the role down. Lindsay Wagner, the Bionic Woman, was supposed to play Captain Janeway. It was written for her, those that don't know. But she also was a stunt coordinator on The Bionic Woman, starring Lindsay Wagner. She worked on Harper Valley PTA, starring Barbara Eden, Otherworld, starring Jonathan Banks, and Hearts of the West, co-starring Stephen Root. Her other television credits include stunt acting on the pilot film for Battlestar Galactica, as I mentioned, with Ed Begley Jr., Felix Celia, Bruce Wright, and she was also in The Stand in 1994. And she worked on Seinfeld with Jason Alexander. George on Seinfeld. 6 Feet Under with Ed Begley Jr. CSI, Crime Scene Investigation. Agent Carter, Criminal Minds, Raising Hope, and Lucifer. On August 22nd, 2019, Sondra Gimple was interviewed as part of the Television Academy Foundation's The Interviews, The Oral History of Television on Being a Stuntwoman, and her role as the Telosian in The Cage, and her return as the Salt Vampire, and working with William Shatner. Those are all subjects that were covered in that interview. So that's Sondra Gimple. Let me show you some more pictures I have of Sondra really quickly. Oh, man. Here we are. Whoops. And again, she'll be at Stellar Fest April 4th through 6th in Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, jump. Also in that episode, the 6th episode filmed in production order, The Man Trap, which is on, I never mentioned this yet, it's streaming on Paramount Plus. If you want to see classic Star Trek or any of the Star Trek series, I'm a subscriber of Paramount Plus. There are other women in that first aired episode, including this one, Francine Pine. She was the second female you ever saw in Star Trek in aired order. The first one, we'll get to Francine in a minute. This is the first woman you ever saw in Star Trek. Jean Ball is the actress's name, who played Professor Crater's wife in illusion form. They showed her as a younger woman and as an older middle-aged woman, a handsome woman, as Captain Kirk said. She was a handsome woman, yes, but hardly 25. She said to Bones. Bones McCoy is still in love with her. So let me just tell you a little bit about Jean Ball. I thought I had notes for her. Hang on a second. God dang it. I'll tell you about Jean. Hang on a second. I have to do my taxes tomorrow, folks. I'm not looking forward to it. Usually I have them done by now. It's a pain in the butt. But Jean Ball, this is notable, the first female you ever saw in Star Trek. And by the way, I'm going to talk about Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura, next week. I will definitely cover her in full because she deserves. I've already done a lot of Podblast material on her, so I don't want anyone to think I'm sliding her or not. I'm not going to talk about her tonight because she's one of the main cast members, and she also first appeared in the Corbomite Maneuver, the 3rd episode in production order. Okay, let me see. Why can't I find anything on Jean? She did a lot of acting work. Could have sworn that I did prepare something. Hang on, let me find it. God dang it. It takes me to Lucille Ball every friggin' time. God dang it, where the F is it? Try her IMDb. I don't know why the internet is not kind to this lady, because she was the very first person you saw in Star Trek. I know I'm repeating myself. Am I misspelling her name? It's Jean Ball. Oh, man. I'll get it. That'll get it. Oh, I'm because I have the news tab, dumbass. I'm an idiot. Jean Ball, and it's spelled with one L, B-A-L. That's where I was effing up. Okay, Jean Ball, B-A-L, was born on May 3rd, 1928. She passed away sadly on April 30th, 1996, at the age of 67. She's one of 2 actresses who played Nancy Crater in the first season episode, the Star Trek premiere episode, The Man Trap. The network wanted to see a monster. That's why they picked that episode. It wasn't a terribly great episode, but they filmed her scenes on Friday, June 24th, 1966, in between Tuesday, June 28th, 1966, and Thursday, June 30th, 1966, at Desilu, Stage 9 and Stage 10. Let me tell you, she was born in Chicago, Illinois. Let me look at some of her other credits. She was in I Spy, an episode in 1968. McHale's Navy. Matt Lincoln is her last credit, 1970. I guess she went into real estate as well. She was in Wagon Train. Anyway, Jean Ball, she was the first female you saw, the first female actor on Star Trek. Now let's talk about another one from that same episode, then move on to another one. We're talking about Francine Pine. She was... See, the creature, the salt vampire, can reach into its target's minds and extract a memory. And one of the crewmen, Darnell, was thinking about this little hottie blonde. And in the very opening scene, pre-opening credits, the teaser, you saw Francine Pine. I don't think she didn't have any dialogue, but she played Nancy 3 in Star Trek, the original first season episode, The Man Trap. Now, Francine Pine was born on January 9th, 1940. She sadly passed away at the age of 55 on August 15th, 1995. If you have her autograph, you're lucky. In the closing credits of the episode, she's listed as having played Nancy 3. Even though she didn't have any dialogue, she did get a credit. She filmed her scenes on June 28th, 1966, which was a Tuesday, and on Wednesday, June 29th, 1966, at Desilu Studios, Stage 10. Now I see the Jean Ball things I prepared. I knew I did. I did it out of order. Now, I did mention this. Jean Ball sadly passed away from breast cancer at the age of 67 in Sherman Oaks, California. Okay, she was born in Santa Monica, California. All right, so let's move on to another actress, a big one, Majel Barrett, who played Nurse Christine Chapel in Star Trek. The first time we saw her in production order was in episode 7, The Naked Time. That sounds like it's something on PRN Hub, but it's not. That's the episode about a space disease that affects people like alcohol, and it makes them it makes them lose their inhibitions. And so she's in love with Spock, it's revealed in this episode. And Kirk and Spock have their first fight in this particular episode. It also introduced time travel as a mechanism to change events. The Enterprise uses a formula to go back in time. And it was supposed to be part 1 of a 2-part episode. The second episode was going to be an episode titled, which did get produced and aired in season 1, Tomorrow is Yesterday, where the Enterprise goes back to the year 1966 and encounters the United States Air Force. You see that cool shot of the Enterprise in our atmosphere. It just looks so different, right? You're so used to the star field, and you see the Enterprise amongst blue sky. And that's going to be part 2, where they use the time travel mechanism to go back to the events of before the disease struck the Enterprise, and then they wind up in 1966. They go back in time too far. It was going to be a 2-parter, for those that don't know. Anyway, there's Majel Barrett. Tell you a little bit about her. She wound up, she was in the pilot, as I mentioned, as number 1. In the cage, she had dark hair. I did not pull a picture of how she looked, but you saw it in the clip I played. But Majel Barrett was born in Cleveland, Ohio. She began taking acting classes as a child. She graduated from Shaker Heights High School in Shaker Heights, Ohio. She went to the University of Miami in Coral Gables, Florida, then had some stage roles and arrived in Hollywood. Her father, William Hudak, was a Cleveland police officer. He was killed in the line of duty while driving a police ambulance, which was struck by an Erie, Ohio passenger train at East 91st Street and Lauren Avenue on August 30th, 1955. The tragedy occurred while Majel Barrett was touring with an off-Broadway road company. Her birth name is Majel Lee Hudak, and she passed away at the age of 76 in Bel Air, California on December 18th, 2008. Rest in peace. And she wound up marrying Gene Roddenberry. Okay, so let's move on now to a lesser-known actor, but she was a credited actor in Star Trek. And the next episode produced Charlie X, talking about Tina Lawton. Do you remember her? She was the one that Yeoman Rand was trying to fix up with Charles Evans, Charlie X, played by Robert Walker Jr. Let me tell you a little bit about this character. She's Yeoman Third Class Tina Lawton. The actress's name is Pat McNulty. And she is single. Yeoman Third Class Tina Lawton was a female human Starfleet enlisted crewman who lived during the mid-23rd century. She served in the Sciences Division aboard the USS Enterprise under Captain James T. Kirk during the Enterprise's historic 5-year maiden mission. In the year 2266, Yeoman Janice Rand introduced Lawton to Charles Evans, a 17-year-old boy whom the Enterprise was transporting to Earth Colony 5. Uncomfortable with Charlie's awkward expressions of affection, Yeoman Rand introduced him to Tina in an effort to encourage him to pursue a woman of his own age, although she would have been 22 at the time. She's playing 17. Charlie rejected Tina. However, as he was still interested in a relationship with Rand, Yeoman Rand, so he blew her off. Trying to explain his infatuation to Yeoman Rand, he claimed that all the other women on the ship looked like Tina to him. That is, undesirable because they were not Rand. Later, out of frustration with the Enterprise crew, Charlie utilized his incredible psychokinetic powers and abilities granted to him by the Thasians so he could survive, and he perverted his powers and transformed Tina into an iguana after he injured he transported Tina into an iguana after she inquired what was the matter with her. That's right. She was, Charlie, what's wrong? And then he turned her into an iguana. I remember that. I've seen that episode like 10 times. Along with all the other crew members affected by Charlie, Tina was restored to her original form by the Thasians when their ship arrived to retrieve Charlie. We didn't see that on camera, I don't think. And I've seen the episode so many times. I don't think we saw that. Now I'm going to show you photos of other women in that episode that had encounters with Charlie. Here's a total babe. There she is. I'm just kidding. That's actress Laura Wood, no relation to Lana Wood, from the James Bond film Diamonds Are Forever, played Plenty O'Toole. That's Laura Wood. And let me tell you a little bit about Laura Wood really quickly. See, I'm not an ageist here. I'm not an ageist pig. This old lady was portrayed by Laura Wood. She was an unknown actress played by... Oh, no. Hang on. She was credited because she made a sound. An unknown actress played her original young self. And get this, it's unknown what her name is. I can't believe that. We don't know what this actress's name is. Here's the young actress playing her part that Charlie transforms and rapidly ages to an old woman. Out of spite. This lady did nothing to Charles Evans. He just did that because he's a D-I-C-K. But that nobody, I just can't believe all these years, no one has found any production notes to identify who this person was. So there's that actress, and we don't know who that is, but about Laura Wood, let me see if I have any notes about her. Yeah, she was born, get this, on March 30th, 1889. She died on November 1st, 1974 at the age of 85. She's the actress, of course, who Charlie prematurely ages and rapidly ages in Charlie X, the 8th episode produced of Star Trek. But she also appeared again as Elaine Johnson in the second season episode of Star Trek, The Deadly Years. Remember, it showed that old couple before the teaser, in the teaser before the opening credits? That was her. She came back and played a different character. They put a familiar head on a new character. She filmed her scenes. Well, that doesn't matter. We'll get to that in a future episode. But just for poops and giggles, on August 3rd, 1967, on Desilu Stage 10, she filmed her scenes for the Deadly Year Season 2 episode of Star Trek. Okay, prior to her Star Trek 2 appearances, she had previously appeared in television on the shows Medic in 1955, The Highway Patrol in 1956, Official Detective in 1957, 77 Sunset Strip in 1959, General Electric Theater in 1958, 2 episodes of The Rebel in 1960, and in Gomer Pyle, USMC in 1966, and in the film Six She's and a He. But after her appearance in Star Trek, she appeared in an episode of My Three Sons in 1969 on CBS, and in 2 additional films, This Sporting House in 1969 and Sweet Bird of Aquarius in 1970. Now I'm going to show you some pictures of other unknown actresses from that episode, Charlie X. Look at this lovely lady, little gymnast, doing a backflip. That's gymnast 1. Here's gymnast 2. And here's an unknown officer who was in several episodes of Star Trek in season 1. Don't know who she is. Nobody does, and that blows my mind. Nobody knows who she is. Here's another babe from that episode, Charlie X. The faceless one. We don't know who that was under that makeup. That freaked me out when Charlie X, just out of spite, because he's pissed off that he's been rejected by Yeoman Rand, takes this innocent crewman's face away. They kind of ripped that off in Twilight Zone, the movie, when you saw that one sister, but they had eyeballs, but she had no mouth. I think she had a nose too, otherwise she couldn't breathe. That was the tragic thing about this scene. This woman suffocated to death. And she's going, let me do an impression of this character. And then the next scene, Charlie, no laughing! Da-na-na-na-na. That's it. No laughing! Da-na-na-na-na. The music goes, and then you see her come around the corner. Anyway, sound more like a Lugo Man in Space Giants than anything else. So there's that one. I only have a couple more Star Trek babes to get to, and Star Trek actresses. I'm covering them all. Young, old, credited, uncredited. the memorable ones. There's some I didn't capture that were probably in the background, but just in the interest of time, I've already gone almost an hour and a half. Got to talk about my number one Star Trek babe. Episode 9 was Balance of Terror, and it featured Yeoman Rand. You didn't really, and you did have, I didn't pull her image. There was an actress who was getting married who appeared several times in Star Trek. Let me tell you her name. I'm going to do this on the fly. I should have had this prepared. It slipped my mind. This is a key character. Let me find a picture of her. Angela Martin. It was the character. Barbara Baldwin, who passed away not too long ago, recently. I talked about her on the Podblast previously. I'm going to pull her picture up. There she is, Barbara Baldwin. Her first appearance was in episode 9 of Star Trek. She was born October 18th, 1938. I've got to get her picture up before I talk about her. Hang on a second. Balance of Terror. That was her best look, was in that episode, Balance of Terror, where she has the wedding scene. And the irony and the tragedy was her future husband dies in the attack of the Romulans. Hang on a second. God dang it. Give me a moment. I will pull this up. And I want to show you her. All right. Oh, God, no. I got to take another step to get this. This is a great little picture of her. Give me a moment. See if there's a clip I can play in the meantime. No, I'll just do it. I'll do it live. I'll sound like Bill O'Reilly. Remember he went psychotic practically? Not really, but all right. I got it here. Let me just convert it. For you guys that are watching or listening, let me get this and show you her picture. That's a key one. I can't believe that slipped my mind. I was really rushing. I had such a busy day. I had so much going on today that I did not really get to adequately prepare. That's why I'm going to break this into season 1, part 1 tonight. We're about to wrap with the Star Trek, and I'll get to some trivia. All right, here we go. I can now show you this picture. God, this is bad. It seems like an eternity as I'm preparing this. That's why sometimes I should have a co-host to help me with that. Doing it by himself is kind of a bear sometimes. It's just I don't like to be interrupted. You always have a lot to say, so that there's good and bad at having a co-host. Let's see. Okay, here comes the picture of Barbara. All right. Hey. All right, Barbara Baldwin. There she is. Okay, that's from Balance of Terror, the main image. And you see her in a season 3 episode on the right, in the smaller image. Anyone that's listening won't know what the heck I'm talking about. But that's her. Let me just quickly tell you about Barbara. She passed away last year on March 31st, 2024. Let's see here. Barbara. All right. She was born on October 18th, 1938. She passed away at the age of 85 on March 31st, 2024. She played Angela Martin in the season 1 Star Trek episodes Balance of Terror and Shore Leave. We'll talk about that next time. Shore Leave, which was also a season 1 episode in the second half of season 1. There were 29 episodes, including both pilots, really 27 one-hour episodes produced for season 1 of the original Star Trek. She also appeared in the very last episode. That's what that image is from, Turnabout Intruder in production order, episode 79. I count the 2-part of the menagerie as one because it was produced the same week, even though it was a 2-week episode, and the 16th in production order. Anyway, some say there's 80 original episodes, including both pilots of Star Trek. I say 79. Okay, and that's the way they were numbered by Paramount Home Video in the 80s and 90s when they released individual episodes on VHS tapes and on Laserdisc, 2 episodes on the Laserdiscs. So she played Angela Martin. First time she worked on the show was the 9th produced episode. She also was in an episode of season 1 of Adam 12, in which she played Betty Wells, the wife of Officer Ed Wells, played by Gary Crosby. She did several episodes of Adam 12 and then Mannix, Medical Center. Anyway, did you know she was married to one of the producers of Star Trek, Joseph D'Augusta, the casting guy whom she met when she appeared on Star Trek? He was the casting director on the production side of the show. She sadly passed away of heart failure, congestive heart failure, at her home in Manhattan Beach, California. So rest in peace to her. I'm just looking. She also acted in Rawhide in 1964. She was in The Fugitive in 2 episodes. In uncredited roles, The Felony Squad. Let me just see if there's something. She was in a Columbo, season 1, episode 2, Death Lends a Hand. Oh my God, she played Bremer's secretary. I remember that. She was in Macmillan and Wife. A really good actor, and she's one of the better actors in Star Trek, in my opinion. She was also in a Bionic Woman episode of season 3 of that show, and season 3, episode 19, Out of Body, in 1978. She was in a Fantasy Island episode in season 1 of Fantasy Island. She was in a Beretta episode. She was in Airport 1975 as a passenger, uncredited. She did a lot. Looks like her last credited role was 1993 Skeeter as Dorothy O'Connell. All right, so rest in peace to her. I can't believe I almost omitted her, but luckily I got back on track. All right, so let me see who else I've got here for you as we start to wrap this topic, and we'll pick it up next time on the Nostalgic Podblast, talking about the women of Star Trek, continuing with season 1. Let me just make sure. We're going to talk about my number 1 pick now. Finally, it's happened to me. Let's get to it. Talking about Sherry Jackson as Andrea, the android in What Are Little Girls Made Of, which was written by Robert Bloch, who wrote Psycho, the Alfred Hitchcock classic film. He also wrote a season 2 episode of Star Trek titled Wolf in the Fold, which is about Jack the Ripper. But he wrote this one as well. She's my number 1. My number 1 sexy. I got a lot to say about her. And let me just quickly tell you some. She's still with us, thank God. I pray she makes it to past 100 years of age. As her life, she's 83 years of age. She was born February 15th, 1942 in Wendell, Idaho. She also appeared in Adam West's Batman in season 1. She was one of the Riddler's girlfriends. She was in Lost in Space, season 1. Black and white episode. The Space Croppers. She was in The Incredible Hulk, season 1. Have it on 16mm film. Earthquakes Happen. Did great acting opposite the late, great Bill Bixby in that program. I just loved her. Little side note, I've talked about this. Any regular listeners of the Nostalgic Podblast or watchers will probably sick of hearing me tell this quick story. I sold her. She won on eBay randomly, so I'm not a bad guy. I feel bad. I would have given her a break or maybe even given her the print. I had a military print I got from the U.S. military of What Are Little Girls Made Of? And she won that herself. It was in a nice metal Goldberg can. Nice print, original print, not a dupe. It had fair color. It wasn't bad, though. But the U.S. military had spliced out a shot of William Shatner, an android of Shatner. Remember, they made a duplicate android of Captain Kirk in that episode. If you know the episode, most of you listening or watching know Star Trek. I mean, you probably would. If you saw the topic and you didn't like Trek, you probably wouldn't be watching or listening. So I'm going to assume you know what I'm talking about. Shatner was filmed on this little platform, and he was nude. He was supposed to be nude. He's an android of himself, right? Supposed to be nude. U.S. military spliced a few seconds of the little turntable gizmo, and there's a blooper of the cast dancing on top of this thing as it spins around. It's on that blooper reel I referenced earlier, Star Trek original series season 1 blooper. You see Nichelle Nichols dancing in between shots, in between scenes, on that spinning gizmo. It spins around, and it creates. This is how you create an android, Michael Strong's character says, as Dr. Roger Corby. He puts this big glob of white clay, this junk on this thing, and it spins and spins and spins, and all of a sudden you see Lurch from the Addams Family, Ted Cassidy, operating the controls with Sherry Jackson as the android Andrea. But they spliced out the shot. You can't even see anything. It's dark, but I don't know why, but the U.S. military spliced out the shot. There's a shot of a close-up of the crotch area of Shatner, and it was a double, but then it splices to Shatner saying, "How do you do, Miss Chapel?" or something, or like it. Dr. Roger Corby says to Nurse Christine Chapel, "Choose, Christine. Which is the android?" She goes, "I can't. They're exact. I honestly don't know." And you now meet an android, and he spins around, and in that moment, in the print, they spliced out. Okay, I've said enough. You get it. I just thought that was kind of funny. But Sherry Jackson's my number one. Born February 15th, 1942 in Wendell, Idaho. Her mother, Marita, provided drama, singing, and dancing lessons for Sherry and her two brothers, Curtis L. Jackson Jr. and Gary L. Jackson, beginning in their formative years. Her father, Curtis L. Jackson Sr., sadly passed away when she was just 6 years of age. So Marita, her mother, moved the family from Wendell to Los Angeles, California. By one account, Marita, who had been told while still in Idaho that her children should be in films, was referred to by a theatrical agent by a tour bus driver whom they met in Los Angeles. According to another, she was referred by the friend of an agent who saw Sherry eating ice cream on the Sunset Strip. Within the year, Sherry had her first screen test for The Snake Pit with Olivia de Havilland, and by the age of 7, appeared in her first feature film, the 1949 musical You're My Everything, which starred Ann Baxter and Dan Daly. Excuse me. In 1950, I swallowed the wrong way, my coffee. In 1950, young Sherry Jackson became friends with actor Steve Cochran while working with him on The Lion and the Horse. Steve introduced his friend, writer Montgomery Pittman, to Sherry's widowed mother. A romance developed, and Pittman married Marita Jackson in a small ceremony on June 4th, 1952 in Torrance, California, with Sherry as the flower girl and younger brother Gary as the ring bearer. Cochran himself was Pittman's best man. In 1955, Cochran hired Pittman to write his next film, titled Come Next Spring, the first that Cochran produced himself. Sherry played the part of Cochran's mute daughter, Annie Ballett, a role Pittman wrote specifically for his stepdaughter. During the course of appearing in several of the Ma and Pa Kettle movies during the 1950s as Susie Kettle, one of the couple's numerous children, Jackson, also appeared in The Breaking Point, which starred John Garfield in his first film role. In 1952, she portrayed the emotionally volatile visionary in The Miracle of Our Lady of Fatima. In the following year, she played John Wayne's daughter in the football-themed Trouble Along the Way. Now, in Make Room for Daddy, which is really the Danny Thomas Show, Make Room for Daddy is the syndicated title for the Danny Thomas Show. She played the older daughter, Terry Williams, on the Danny Thomas Show during the first 3 seasons from 1953 to 1958. She came back. They brought her character back in later seasons after Marjorie Lord had joined the cast as the second wife of Danny Thomas, his character, Danny Williams. During the course of her 5 years on the series, she established a strong bond with her on-screen mother, Jean Hagen, but Hagen left the series after the 3rd season in 1956. Worn out from the relentless pace of production, Jackson left the Danny Thomas Show at the beginning of season 6 once her 5-year contract expired. To allow writers to finish the character off, actress Penny Parker appeared in the role for 14 episodes of season 7, in which the character gets married and moves away. Sherry Jackson's impact on the Danny Thomas viewing audience was such that on February 8, 1960, she received a star for television at 6324 Hollywood Boulevard on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Sherry Jackson did return as Terry for the premiere episode of the new series Make Room for Granddaddy in 1970. That's a very rare show to find. It only lasted 1 season. Angela Cartwright returned as Linda, Danny Williams' adopted daughter. And of course, Angela Cartwright was Penny Robinson in Lost in Space and Brigitte von Trapp in The Sound of Music, 1965 blockbuster film, classic film. Now, I want to mention Sherry Jackson also was in the classic Twilight Zone episode opposite future, come on, fish, Roscoe P. Coltrane and the Dukes of Hazzard. James Best, he actually was a very good dramatic actor, an excellent dramatic actor, and an acting coach. He taught Lindsay Wagner some acting techniques, reportedly. And he was her acting coach early on. But yeah, he opposite in the last rites of so and such, where James Bett's character arises from the coffin in the middle of his funeral. I think it's a season 3 Twilight Zone episode, a half-hour black and white Twilight Zone. Yeah, with Sherry Jackson. Anyway, over the next few years, after Make Room for Daddy, really the Danny Thomas Show, Sherry Jackson broadened her range of acting roles by guest starring in television shows, appearing as a hit woman in 77 Sunset Strip, a freed Apache captive who yearns to return to the reservation on a show called The Tall Man. She played an alcoholic on a show called Mr. Novak. She played a woman accused of murder in Perry Mason. And she played an unstable mother-to-be on the Great Western Wagon Train. Sherry also appeared as a first-season guest on the Rifleman episode titled The Sister, playing the part of a horse-riding sibling of 2 doting brothers. She appeared playing a gunslinger's promiscuous young bride in the Western series Maverick, which starred, of course, James Garner, in the episode entitled Red Dog with Roger Moore, future 007, and Lee Van Cleef and John Carradine, after a 1965 appearance on Gomer Pyle USMC. She then made guest appearances on Lost in Space. I already talked about that. The Space Croppers reuniting with her Danny Thomas co-star Angela Cartwright. She was in My Three Sons, Gunsmoke, Rawhide, The Wild Wild West, and The Night of the Vicious Valentine, which is a Valentine's episode, I think in the 1966-67 season, airing on Valentine's 1966. And I also in that episode is Agnes Moorehead, who was playing Endora in Bewitched season 3 at that time. She also was in The Night of the Gruesome Games in The Wild Wild West, and she played 2 different characters in The Wild West. And I already talked about this. She was in Batman in season 1 of Batman, and of course in What Are Little Girls Made Of in Star Trek. Now here, check this out. When Blake Edwards of the Pink Panther movies remade the television series Peter Gunn into a feature film entitled Gunn in 1967, Sherry Jackson was filmed in a nude scene that appeared only in the international version. Been looking for this forever, not in the U.S. release, but stills of the nude scene appeared in the August 1967 issue of Playboy magazine in a pictorial entitled Make Room for Sherry. I have it right here. The movie has not been released on VHS or DVD. I'm looking for a 16-millimeter international film print of that. Not because I'm a pervert, but just because I want to see it. Yeah, that's the ticket. Now, I'm going to show you a little... Should I do this? I'm going to show you some of the Playboy. Here's the Playboy magazine. Are you still out there? I don't think that Tracy's still out there. Her dad worked for Playboy. Let me, I'm going to try to, I'm going to briefly show some shots of this. What the heck? Hang on a second. What the hell? What is this? I'm kidding. Here it is. All right, let me just show you what I can. Make Room for Sherry. There she is. I've shown this before. Look, I don't think I should show nudity. This is a family show. There's a shot of her with Danny Thomas. In more wholesome years, I've got to find a print of this movie. And let me just quickly flash. You can pause it there, Danny Statenham's still out there, but look, okay. It's just topless. I don't want the advertisers to get upset with me, but that's from the film. This shot. This side boob. All right. There you go. I think she's beautiful. She's still... I saw her in Alice, the sitcom. I'm still reeling about the death of Linda Lavin, even though she was in her 80s. She passed away in late 2024. I'm really bummed about that. But all right, let me get back on track. So Sherry Jackson, let me put her lovely image back on the screen. Right there. Okay. That's my number 1 Star Trek actress of all time. Of any of the Star Treks, the movies, the different spin-off shows, starting with The Next Generation, any of them. But here comes my second pick, which happens to be in the next produced episode in production order. This will be the last one we talk about tonight. Well, did I finish? I didn't finish something about Sherry Jackson. Yeah, we talked about Gunn, the international cut. In 1968, Sherry Jackson co-starred in The Miniskirt Mob as a member of an all-female motorcycle gang, and she appeared in the 1973 film Cotter, opposite Don Murray and Carol Lindley. Don Murray was always getting killed in movies and TV shows. He chose to be killed off in Knots Landing at the end of season 2, beginning of season 3 of Knots Landing. That show lasted for years. Anyway, in subsequent years, she appeared in TV movies such as Wild Women in 1970 after Star Trek, Hitchhike in 1974, The Girl on the Late Late Show in 1974. She appeared in the movie Returning Home in 1975, Enigma in 1977, The Curse of the Moonchild in 1977, and Casino in 1980. In the 1970s through early 1980s, the great Sherry Jackson made guest appearances on TV shows like Love American Style, which I'm featuring on my sister channel, Chant Acting Demo on YouTube. The Rockford Files, she acted in Starsky and Hutch, The Blue Knight, Switch, The Streets of San Francisco, Barnaby Jones, The Incredible Hulk, Earthquakes Happen, Season 1, talked about that. Have that on film, great print of that. Fantasy Island Vegas, Alice talked about that a moment ago. Charlie's Angels, and Chips, among other shows. Now, Sherry Jackson dated Lance Reventlow while he was estranged from his wife, Jill St. John. In 1967, Sherry Jackson began a 5-year relationship with business executive and horse breeder Fletcher R. Jones. On November 7th, 1972, Jones sadly was killed in a plane crash 8 miles east of the Santa Ynez Airport in Santa Barbara County, California. That's sad. 5 months after Jones's death, Sherry Jackson filed a palimony suit against his estate, asking for more than $1 million, equivalent to $7.1 million in 2024, with her attorney stating that Jones had promised to provide her with at least $25,000 a year for the rest of her life. And I mentioned that she does have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, located at 6324 Hollywood Boulevard. Okay, now here's our final actress for this installment, the first installment of the Star Trek Women of the original series. And I'll probably go into the Next Generation in the future on the Podblast, but maybe not in 2025, maybe down the line. Want to talk about this lady, Mariana Schwarzkopf. Probably don't know who that is. Her screen name is Mariana Hill. And she's right here. As Helen Noel on the USS Enterprise. And this is the only reference to Christmas on Star Trek in this episode, titled Dagger of the Mind. And I do have a clip of the 1-minute preview for this episode. Let me get it right here. It is here, I think. I love this trailer. You know what? I'm messing up so bad. Before I do that, I didn't play the trailer for What Are Little Girls Made Of. I intended to do that because Sherry Jackson's my number one. I'm going to do that right now. Here's a 1-minute trailer.
Captain's log, stardate 2712.4. Planet XO3. Dr. Roger Corby has been located, and I have become a prisoner in his underground world. Captain Kirk to Rayburn, report.
Any problems there, sir?
Tell the Enterprise to have a full security party standing by.
Yes, sir.
Kirk out.
Captain, are you all right? You sound tired.
All under control, Mr. Spock. Dr. Corby has made some fascinating discoveries. Stand by for regular contact. Kirk out.
Now strike him.
Pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. Yeah, Joe, I'm going to get to the trivia in just a sec. I have questions I wrote myself pertaining to the original Star Trek, and then we have our game Taglines. How long have I gone? Not even 2 hours, so we're good on time. But it is getting late. It's 10:38 in the East Coast, 7:38 out west as we're live. Let's look at, and I got to get to JT's movie reviews too, and his review of Daredevil coming up. I'm going to now play the preview for Dagger of the Mind. It's just 1 minute long. This features our next Star Trek actress to be featured.
Captain's log, stardate 2715.1. Exchanged cargo with Penal Colony and Tantalus 5.
All sections go to alert condition 3. We may have an intruder aboard.
Don't you remember? The science lab Christmas party?
Yes, I remember.
You dropped
Yes,
in?
yes, I remember.
But I won't let you take me back. I'm not going. I'll die first. You're here. I'm not going. No.
Kirk to Enterprise.
Oh. Kirk. To Enterprise.
That was some of Shatner's best acting, where he's going insane there. That always gets to me, that little moment when it fades to commercial too in the episode itself. Yeah, I agree, Mr. Gutfeld. That is one of the best episodes, and they recycled those costumes in season 3, Whom Gods Destroy, and they showed another penal colony. Why wouldn't they, right? It's consistent. And that's the one where Kirk did it with the green alien that Eddie Murphy joked about in Delirious, I think it was, in the 80s. Where he says Kirk, anyway, he was talking about the bus boys and Captain Kirk wanting to F anything in sight or something. And he goes, remember when Captain Kirk F that green bee? Anyway, he was referring to, and who played the green bee and Whom Gods Destroy. We'll talk about her when we get to it in production order. Yvonne Craig. That was the season after Batman was canceled, after she had played Batgirl. She played the green crazy woman. So you saw in that trailer, James Gregory, who later, not too long after that, was in Beneath the Planet of the Apes, playing one of the lead orangutan. Invade! 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 Wasn't that him? And then, and Morgan Woodward, the actor that you saw, why I won't let you take me back? He was in the Omega Glory, the second, one of the 3 scripts Roddenberry wrote as a second pilot to Star Trek, but he always played a great villain in Westerns, and he had that crater acne, just like Robert Davey, one of the Bond villains from the second Timothy Dalton Bond film, License to Kill. He's done a lot of acting. He did 2 Fall Guys. He was great in the freaking Fall Guy in season 2 and season 4, respectively, of that show, which is running on Heroes and Icons every Thursday and Sunday. Okay, so yeah, Mariana Hill. So let me just show you a picture of her really quickly, and we'll finally get to the trivia. You've been real patient. I saw you wanted me to start with trivia, so I couldn't do that for various reasons, but let me get to that picture. Where the heck is it? Here it is. I put it up a moment ago, but I like to have this shot up while I talk about her briefly. So this lovely actress, she was in The Outer Limits as well in season 2 with Leonard Nimoy. I, Robot. They made a movie with Will Smith based on that script, but in I, Robot, she was in that episode in black and white with Leonard Nimoy. But her real name is Mariana Schwarzkopf, born on February 9th, 1942. And she's been in many Western films like El Condor 1970, and she was in High Plains Drifter, and in the cult horror film Messiah of Evil, also from 1973, just like High Plains Drifter was also released in 73. And she did tons of television roles in the 1960s and 1970s. She was born in Santa Barbara, California, to architect Frank Schwarzkopf and writer Mary Hawthorne Hill, who worked as a script doctor. Get this. United States Army General Norman Schwarzkopf Jr. was her second cousin. Her father, a building contractor, worked in several countries, which resulted in Hill's education in California and in Spain and in Canada. During her teenage years, her family settled in Southern California when her father purchased a restaurant there. Let me see. Anything else of note? Yeah, her film debut came in a movie from 1962, released in 62, titled Married Too Young. And she played Gabrielle in the Howard Hawks film The Red Line 7000, released in 1965. And she featured in the Elvis Presley film Paradise, Hawaiian Style, released in 1966. She was in the Haskell Wexler political film Medium Cool, released in 1969. She was in the Western El Condor in 1970 with the Clint Eastwood film High Plains Drifter, already said that, in 73, playing Callie. She was also in the classic cult horror thriller film The Baby in 1973, like Rosemary's Baby. And she was in The Godfather Part 2 in 1974 as Deanna. The Hard-Drinking Wife. Let me see here. She also guest starred in several 1960s television sitcoms, including My Three Sons, Hogan's Heroes, and Love American Style, as well as in the original Star Trek series, obviously, Dagger of the Mind episode from 1966 as Dr. Helen Noel. And she was in Perry Mason in The Case of the Greek Goddess in 1963 as Theba. She guest starred in The High Chaparral NBC Western series. She guest starred in Bonanza, Death Valley Days, Gunsmoke, The Wild Wild West, Dr. Kildare, The FBI, Quinn Martin production. Quincy, she was in SWAT. She was in Kung Fu. She was in Hawaii Five-0, Mannix, Batman, starring Adam West and Burt Ward, Daniel Boone, The Tall Man, Mission Impossible, and the first pilot movie for Harry O, starring David Jansen. Her last television appearance was in a 1984 episode of Remington Steele, which starred another James Bond actor, Pierce Brosnan. And someone I'm going to feature on my channel in a movie, The Babysitter. The other co-star of Remington Steele was Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.'s daughter, Stephanie Zimbalist. Great movie starring William Shatner and Patty Duke and others like Quinn Cummings. The Babysitter was an ABC TV movie from late 1980. Scared the hell out of me. Also, he earned it. I can't talk. Oh, I'm losing it. Great actor. What's his freaking name? I'm having a brain toot. He played, it'll come to me when I think of The Bionic Woman, because he was in the great 3-part crossover with the $6 Million Man Kill Oscar. John Houseman. That's it. He earned it. John Houseman was in The Babysitter as well, but I digress. That will premiere in a few days on the Nostalgic Podblast if you want to check it out. I'm going to also, I'll save it for later in the show. I've got 4 more Space Giants episodes coming up next week where Rodak teams up with the Mafia to take over the Earth and get an H-bomb. But that's for another time. Getting back to Mariana Hill, her stage name, after our moving to New York to teach at the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute. I studied Strasberg technique of acting and acting classes. Hill moved to England in 1988 to teach at the Lee Strasberg Studio in London. She remained there until its closure in 2001. Hill continued to teach at the Method Studio in London and made an appearance in the 2005 British film Coma Girl, The State of Grace, a part she got through the association of one of her students with the film's writer-director Dina Jacobson. Her last American film was Chief Zabul, which she filmed on the campus of Bard College in New York in 1986. The film was not released until 2016. In a rare public appearance, Mariana Hill attended the premiere of the movie at the 2016 Fort Lauderdale Film Festival. Mariana Hill lives in the United Kingdom. She teaches acting privately and at acting workshops. She was scheduled to make an appearance at the Destination Star Trek Germany convention in June 2021. However, the convention was postponed due to the COVID pandemic. That's where I'll stop. We're talking about Star Trek actresses. We'll pick it up next time on the Nostalgic Podblast because we have other things to talk about. Let me just make sure there's no other photos relating to Star Trek actresses. Let's see here. Or clips. I think that's all of them. Let me just see. Make sure I showed them all. Oh, I did have this picture of Leonard Nimoy from his 36th birthday when Star Trek was in production. Isn't that a cool picture? Look at that. From March of 1967 when season 1 was wrapping of Star Trek. Wow. Isn't that cool? Look at that. He literally had to shave his eyebrows for the upswept makeup. Pretty cool. Okay. Let me check my clips and we'll get to the trivia at long last for some of you that only want to see the trivia or hear the trivia questions. So make sure I showed everything. I did. Okay. Now we can move along. Finally. Hey, good to see you. Let me change my camera shot. I don't like looking at my ugly mug. Why should I pursue acting if I can't like my face? Why would I think someone else would? I'm just kidding. Oh, I didn't change the shot. What's going on here? Sorry, listeners. This is bad. Okay. Get up there. Yeah, there we go. I like showing some of my collectibles and geeky stuff in the background. Let's play some trivia. I'm going to ask you I was going to do some Star Trek trivia. What do you think? I'm going to open it up to the chat. Should I do Star Trek, the original series trivia? I'll save that for next week. You know what? Or maybe later tonight. We've talked a lot about Star Trek. Let's now talk about our game. And this is a trivia game. You got to use your head for this. And I do have an opening clip. This is a nice little game I like to play. Wait a minute. Where's my clip? Here it is.
Shall we play a game?
Yes, we will play a game. And it's called Taglines. I name the tagline, and you think of the product, service, or location it refers to. This time, we're going to talk about restaurant chain taglines. No fast food. I've done that before, and I'll do it again. These are all restaurant sit-down chains, meaning you have to sit down to eat there and have a server bring you your food. So most of these have a wait staff, but not all of them do. Here they are in no particular order. Are you ready? Let me look at the chat. Who's ready to play some trivia? Just 10 questions in the taglines game. Let me see the chat. What about our cards? Okay, I'll give away some cards if you insist. Hey, Keebler. No offense, but Star Trek sexualized women. If it wasn't for the sexy costumes for women by William Ware Theiss, I might add, Theiss, I think you pronounce it Theiss. William Ware Theiss was the costume designer. I doubt it would have went anywhere, in my opinion. Wait till you hear who are coming up that appeared in Star Trek, like Terry Garr. Got a lot. Yeah, but are you really surprised? Sex sells. That's the standard formula for all of television, past, present, and future. You're always going to have sexy women. I'm not trying to argue with you with one of my mods, but, so what? So what? It was action and it was sex appeal and it was great writing. Look, there were beautiful truths told in Star Trek. Okay. It reached a lot of people that were deeply mentally retarded. Oh, the holiday cards. Oh, of course. Let me open the Christmas cards. Oh gosh. Thank you for reminding me. I had gotten several Christmas cards and holiday cards in the mail that I saved to do next time I went live, but then I got sick. I don't think so. I'm going to thank you, dear. Yeah, let's go. Let me do the trivia and then I'll do that after. I will not forget. Let me quickly do these 10 taglines. Okay, shall we play a game? All right, ready? Here's the tagline. And I'll play a commercial for some of these when I reveal the answer. The world's greatest hamburgers. I'm not going to give multiple choice. You just straight up just guess in the chat. What chain had the advertising tagline, the world's greatest hamburgers? And I'll wait for the delay. I have it in my monitor. I can hear the delay, so I know. Jim Von Spiegel still with us in Ohio. Thanks for bearing with. Guessed Big Boy. Shoney's Big Boy? No, good guess. Joe Gutfeld guessed Hardee's. No, that's not I'm talking not fast food. Hardee's, Carl's Jr. is what it's called out west. No. And Shoney's, yeah, we're talking not fast food. So again, it's a very generic slogan, and it's pretty boastful, really. The world's greatest hamburgers. Let's reveal the answer in two commercials in one. Two different commercials. I'm going to reveal the answer right now. Whose slogan is the world's greatest hamburgers? Let's watch this commercial from 1984. It's 30 seconds long.
You won't believe how big it is. We are talking food. Get fresh at Fuddruckers.
Look at those buns. Oh.
Get fresh at Fuddruckers.
Everything's fresh at Fuddruckers. That's why it's the best burger you ever tried to put in your mouth.
Want to do Fuddruckers tonight?
What kind of a girl do you think I am? Get fresh at Fuddruckers.
It's Fuddruckers. I'm going to play a 1995 cleaner commercial. There's a lot of sexual innuendo in that last one, right? You won't believe how big it is. And then they had a guy that looked like Dave Thomas a little bit. One of the actors towards the end, the older guy with the chubby cheeks. I thought my cheeks were chubby. He looked a little like Dave Thomas of Wendy's. But let's look at a 1995 30-second TV spot or commercial, if you will, for Fuddruckers.
Over the next 5 years, your kid could top 276 Fuddruckers World's Greatest Hamburgers. Drink 542 Cokes. Dip 2,384 Fudd fries. Take 729 bites of fresh-baked cookie. All at a cost of $0. Fuddruckers, free kids meal with each adult meal. Every Monday through Thursday after 4.
Man, I miss Fuddruckers. They were great. They closed in my area. There were great locations. There was one right near me. It closed. And here's the stupid thing, guys and gals. I hope you have Fuddruckers in your area. Do you? Let me know in the chat. Because they had nostalgic themes, like a Beatles table, an Elvis table. They had a 50s, 60s, different decades, and they had video games, they had a little game room. It was really, really special. And then they decided to remodel Fuddruckers, like in 2016, I want to say, at least my local Fuddruckers, and they killed the nostalgic vibe, and it went down. No longer were birthdays really being celebrated there. They put in those stupid freestyle soda machines. I can't stand those. It doesn't taste as good like they do at AMC movie theaters. Don't like it. I know, sir. No, ma'am. I don't like it. But they killed the charm. And so Fuddruckers, at least around here in Georgia, in the metropolitan area, there's one in Alpharetta, Georgia, one in Marietta, Georgia, and one in Marietta/Kennesaw near Town Center Mall. That one closed. That was the last one. And I would go there with my date, and I loved it. I like Fuddruckers. And not that I'm a cheap date, but you know what you'd have to do? You'd have to pat down the grease. They were very greasy burgers, so I'd get a bunch of napkins and pat the grease down off the patty. So you heard that slogan, the world's greatest hamburgers, in that 1995 Fuddruckers commercial just then. Let's continue on with the game. Let's see. Oh, Keebler said they were our place to go to eat when I was a kid. Jim said never seen one in Ohio. Yeah, and I noticed Arizona locations, so they were out west at Fuddruckers. Yeah. Tracy had guessed. Let me put your comment on the screen. Shoney's big. I'm going to put every comment on the screen before I sign off tonight. I know I missed some while I was just rambling on. Let's get on with the game. So I'll name the tagline. You name the restaurant. Here's the tagline. Question 2 of 10. Come hungry, leave happy. I'm not going to play a commercial for this one. I'll just reveal the answer. Oh, by the way, Fuddruckers, the founder of Fuddruckers, while you're thinking about that, was Phil Romano. Fuddruckers was founded in 1979 in San Antonio, Texas. I know, Keeble, you're in Texas, so you probably went there quite a bit, as you said in the chat comment. All right, so come hungry, leave happy. It's a sit-down place. There are servers there. What do you think that refers to in that advertising? Tracy staying up late with me. Thank you, Tracy. In Florida, Tracy's Fractured History and More says, I remember the mixed drinks bar. Yeah. All right, Mr. Gutfeld, you got any guesses? Oh, he said there were none in New York City in terms of Fuddruckers. This is kind of an easy slogan, I think. Come hungry, leave happy. When you hear what it is, you'll be like, Joe Gutfeld guessed Friendlies? No, I don't know. I'm not. And here in Georgia, I've never heard of that chain. There's no wrong guess, though. No wrong guess or answer. Just correct or incorrect. Anybody else? And I got to get those cards. I want to open those nice holiday cards. All right, I'll just reveal it. Come hungry, leave happy. That's IHOP, the International House of Pancakes. Remember the A-frame locations? Those A-frame locations were the best. Now, IHOP was founded in 1958 in Los Angeles, California by Al Lapin, L-A-P-I-N, Jerry Lapin, and Albert Callis with a K. There's 1,841 locations in the Americas, the Middle East, and South Asia, but there's not many A-frames left. We have one here in Georgia, in Marietta, Georgia, where I live. And literally, it's like a steeple, like a church. You know, it's an A. It looks like the letter A. All right, let's move along to question 3. Okay, and I have a commercial to reveal the answer for this. A great commercial. All right, fun, fresh, flavorful. No Google cheating. Name the restaurant chain. This should be nationwide, coast to coast. Fun, fresh, flavorful. And I'm going to give you a moment to see if you can guess it. What do you think? What do you think? Any guesses? Fun, fresh, flavorful. Listeners, you can comment too after the fact. What do you think? All right, I'm going to just reveal the answer because I don't have all night. There is a delay to contend with, but let's see. I love IHOP, said Joe Gutfeld. Oh, Ben Compton got it. Good job, Ben. I believe you got that before I revealed the answer. That is damn good. Damn good of you. All right. It is kind of tricky because it's some of these are, I'm not doing the obvious slogans, but these are true slogans. All right. So ready for the answer? Name the sit-down restaurant. Fun, fresh, flavorful. Here comes a commercial to reveal the answer. You're going to blank a brick when you... I love this commercial. Where is it? Okay. Here is the answer.
I want my baby back. Chili's baby back rib. I want my baby. Chili's baby back rib. Barbecue sauce. I got my baby back ribs.
Yeah, it's Chili's. Fun, fresh, flavorful. And it's a quick fun fact about Chili's. And I love how they use that in the Austin Powers movies with fat B-A-S-T-A-R-D. I want my baby back, baby back. That's such a catchy jingle. That's one of the best jingles. I love it. Okay, so the founder of Chili's is Larry Levin. It was founded on March 13th, 1975 in a converted postal station, a post office in Greenville Avenue in the Vickery Meadows area of Dallas, Texas, another Texas-born chain. All right, now next question, question 4 of 10. Here is the slogan, name the restaurant. Food with integrity. I'm going to give a hint. Food with integrity if you don't explode. What chain do you think that is? It's a more recent chain, kind of, sort of. This place came around in 1993 is when it was founded. So it's not really that established over many generations, just a couple generations. Food with integrity. Such a BS slogan. What do you think? What do you think? My hint is you might explode. Go back to the comments. Ooh, Tracy said they closed our Chili's. We still have one on Barrett Parkway and Meredith / Kennesaw, Georgia. All right, let's see. Any guesses? See, I probably did wait too long. A lot of people are going to bed. Should waited too long to do trivia. I just hate doing trivia at the start. I maybe should adjust my thinking on that. Okay, especially I'm giving prizes away. All right, I'll just reveal the answer. So the slogan, food with integrity, that's Chipotle. Explosive as in explosive diarrhea. All right, it was founded by Steve Ells on July 13th, 1993 in Denver, Colorado. Moving on. Halfway through here after this question, here's the slogan. Some people call it sizzle. We think of it as an anthem. Okay. Now, this place was founded in the mid-1960s. Name the restaurant. It is definitely a sit-down, definitely an expensive restaurant in terms of chains that are nationwide. Some people call it a sizzle. We think of it as an anthem. What restaurant chain do you think that is? It was founded in New Orleans, Louisiana, by the way. Going to give you a moment to contend with the delay and see if anyone has a guess. Any guesses? All right, I'm going to reveal the answer. We don't have all night. Ooh, got some guesses. Keebler guessed steak and ale. Close, but no cigar. Jim Von Spiegel in Ohio guessed Sizzler. Tracy has an interesting one, a fondue place, the Melting Pot. No, those are all good guesses. I'll just reveal it. Okay, the slogan, some people call it a sizzle. We think of it as an anthem. This place is overpriced. It's Ruth Chris Steakhouse. Over 100 locations, including some in Canada and Mexico. The founder was Ruth Fertel, F-E-R-T-E-L, who founded Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in 1965 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Okay, we're halfway done. Question 6 of 10. Here's the slogan. And I won't have a commercial for you. I'll explain when I reveal the answer. Don't have a commercial for this one. Good food fast. This one's regional to the Southeast and maybe the Midwest a little bit, mostly the South. So sorry if you're up north. I don't think they're up north yet. Chick-fil-A used to be in the South, and they're all over the place now, north and west. This place will expand and has been expanding for some time. I will say this as a hint. I don't want to date the show. I want the show not to be dated by dated news stories, but right now we have an egg shortage, which is affecting this place. Good food fast. Tracy, you're going to know this one, I bet you. I just bet you. It's a chain. It is a chain. I don't think there's any in Texas. Keebler, what do you think? Jim Von Spiegel guessed Caibs, C-A-I-B-S. Ooh, Keebler had an interesting guess. Denny's. Cane's. Oh, Cane's. I've not heard of Cane's. It's not Cane's. Denny's is a really good guess. I'll just reveal it. They don't do any advertising. They frustrated me for years. I used to sell advertising in print and online, and they just operate from word of mouth. Word of mouth is all they need. I'm talking about the Waffle House. Do you have a Waffle House in your area? It's a breakfast joint. They also serve hamburgers. They do serve lunch items and dinner items of 24 hours a day. A lot of fights. You might have seen them in the news where, like, I think Kid Rock got into a fight. I know he did. I saw the news story years ago at a Waffle House. It's Waffle House. Let's move on. It is the Waffle House. I know they have them in Florida, in your neck of the wood, Tracy. All right, let me hurry along because after this, I want to open those Christmas cards because I know I received one from Open by Chance Toys. I received one from Open by Chance YouTube channel and Tracy's Fractured History and More. That's Tracy. She sent me one. I've not opened it. I need to. I'm saving it. I was saving myself for you, dear. Okay. All right. So Good Food Fast. That's Waffle House. It was founded by Tom Faulkner and Joe Rogers, opening the first location on September 5th, 1955 in Avondale Estates, Georgia. They never advertised. Waffle House Inc. has over 2,100 locations in 25 states in the United States. So half the country has a Waffle House. Most of the locations are in the South, where the chain is a regional cultural icon. Waffle House is headquartered in Norcross, Georgia, in the Atlanta metropolitan area. All right, here is an easy one. Question 7 of 10. Here's the tagline in my game taglines for you. So easy. Eating good in the neighborhood. And their commercials stink. I couldn't find a commercial that really grabbed me, unlike Chili's. I do not like their commercials. Hebler says, yeah, the only thing good at Waffle House are the waffles. I love the All-Star. I always get the All-Star meal where you get the waffle, you get the eggs or the sausage, the grits, the toast. I love it. You get the full meal breakfasty deal. Jim Von Spiegel said, they are filthy at Waffle House. Yeah, and they hire prisoners and things, which anyone can be rehabilitated, I suppose. But yeah, anyway, eating good in the neighborhood. Come on. I know there's a delay. Somebody there. Hey, I'm going to go. I should play a clip. I don't want to have dead air. I need to go wee, and I want to get the Christmas cards from another part of my house. So let me play a nostalgic clip. Eating good in the neighborhood. Come on now. Someone's got to know that. Let me find a quick clip that's at least a minute or two long. Hang on. Something I haven't played. I hate to do this in the middle of our game. Well, no, I won't do it. I'll just all right, I'm going to play this. In the middle of our game, 45-second clip. I'm going to really hurry and just grab the cards. This is Gary Coleman. I think this is AI. I can't imagine Gary Coleman saying something like this before he passed away. Let's watch this 45-second clip.
Gary, what do you think of white people?
You have to forgive me, I can't find the words. They're rude, they're obnoxious, they're not fun to be around. And then they're racist. And they probably have swastikas tattooed on them somewhere. I've run into quite a few I just want to break in half and beat to death. Only you white shit racist motherfucker would think that. I'm not a violent person. Although every now and then there are people I just want to slap the shit out of, but I'm not a violent person. Hey, make me!
Whoa, I forgot about the language. Should have given. I didn't know that was. I hope that was acting. His own parents ripped him off when he was a child star. He's very bitter. That was not cool. I apologize. I should have pre-screened that. I didn't know there was adult language in that. I did know he was, bashing white folks. I thought that was funny, but I'm sorry. Let's get back to the game. This is a family show. I got the cards here. I won't show the addresses of the people that sent them and the kindness of their heart. Oh, I got more than I thought. Oh, this is so sweet. And I will reciprocate. All right, let's move along with the game. Okay. Gosh, that was not the best clip, and I didn't have time to go wee. I'll just hold it. Who cares? I know no one cares. Oh, eating good in the neighborhood. Did anyone ever guess that? Eating good in the neighborhood. Let me look at the comments. So easy. Oh, yes, it is Applebee's or TJ Applebee's. That was the first sit-down restaurant where I had my own money from mowing lawns I could afford when I was a kid. I went to, and I got the chicken finger basket, and that stuff tastes the same. Their chicken fingers are not very good. And now that I'm more of a connoisseur of actual tenderized chicken, but it's kind of I always like their honey mustard and their fries. At least it's a nostalgic treat at TJ Applebee's, that chicken finger basket, you know. I'm thinking of it from like a child's mind's eye, if you will. But anyway, yeah, eating good in the neighborhood is TJ Applebee's or simply Applebee's. I remember it was $5.99 in 1984 for a chicken finger meal. The basket was a little less. Anyway, you didn't get as much chicken with that. Let's see. And now TJ Applebee's is just Applebee's. It was founded on November 19th, 1980 in Decatur, Georgia by TJ Palmer and Bill Palmer, hence the TJ and TJ Applebee's. It's now headquartered in Glendale, California. There's 1,787 locations as of 2019. That was pre-pandemic, so it may have gone down. IHOP owns them now. Did you know that? IHOP's parent company is Dine Brands Global, and they have owned TJ Applebee's or simply Applebee's these days since November 29th, 2007. Okay, here's question 8 of 10. Here's the tagline. So good, so good. Great steaks, seafood, and salads. So good, so good. Great steaks, seafoods, and salads. I'll say it a third time. Tagline. So good, so good. So good, so good. Great steaks, seafood, and salads. And in the 80s, 1986, I remember very vividly as a kid going there, and I go there with mom or a friend, and they had all-you-can-eat shrimp with a sirloin steak and a drink, and it was like $6.99. I was like 15. I loved it. So what do you think that sit-down restaurant chain is? And they are nationwide, and I think they're still around in California. So good, so good. Great steaks, seafood, and salads. There's not any around here, I don't think. Let me see if anyone guessed it. Oliver Gregg says, I got nothing on that. Keebler guessed Red Lobster. Jim Von Spiegel guessed Red Lobster. About Applebee's, Keebler said, get the shrimp Alfredo there. Okay. I usually get that, and I get chicken franchise at a local place called Provino's, an Italian restaurant. Really good. Okay. Also another Red Lobster guess from Tracy's Fractured History and More YouTube channel. Again, the slogan, and someone had guessed this chain previously in one of these questions. So good, so good. Great steaks, seafood, and salads. You got to whisper the name. Another hint. It would be Sizzler. Remember Sizzler. And I love that all-you-can-eat fried shrimp. Probably not the healthiest thing in the world, but it was good. Oh, and you got a big baked potato with that butter. All for $6.99, 1986. All-you-can-eat shrimp, sirloin steak, baked potato, and drink. Didn't mention the baked potato. So Sizzler was founded on January 27th, 1958 in Culver City, California by Delmar Johnson and Helen Johnson. But now there's only 270 locations, mainly in California, plus some in the adjacent states of California of Washington State, Arizona, New Mexico, Idaho, Utah, and Oregon. There are also locations in Puerto Rico. There you go. All right. Question 9. Here's the tagline. Everyone's going. See you there. There's another slogan that's a dead giveaway. So I picked this one that's a little more obscure, but it is one that was used a lot in their advertising campaigns over the years. Question 9 of 10. Here it is. Everyone's going. See you there. What restaurant chain is that? What do you think? Jim Von Spiegel guessed Ponderosa. Keebler says Sizzler been closed for a very long time in Texas, hence why I forgot them. Same here in Georgia, too. But they're around in California. They're thriving there. Thriving and surviving. Any guesses? All right. I don't see any guesses coming in, so I just will reveal the answer. Everyone's going. See you there. Now, this was another one someone guessed in the chat. That's Shoney's, the big boy. I didn't want to say big boy because that's a dead giveaway. Everyone's going. See you there. That's Shoney's tagline. Alex Schoenbaum founded Shoney's in 1947 in Charleston, West Virginia. Shoney's is now owned by David Poole, who purchased the company in 2006 through Royal Hospitality Corporation in Atlanta, Georgia, now headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee, operating in 17 states, including Georgia, with a Shoney's restaurant in Cartersville, Georgia. That's the closest one to me. And they had a really good, pretty good little buffet. And I'm not a big buffet guy. I certainly will never go to some of the chains I won't mention because they've had outbreaks and things, and the food's just nasty, like at Ryan's Steakhouse. Yeah. I don't like those places, but that's just me. I like a good buffet, like in Vegas or somewhere, you know, like we're at a nice upscale restaurant. That's one thing for a Sunday brunch, but can't really do the buffet at a chain. I like the Pizza Hut buffet, but again, that's from a younger mind's eye. I don't know if it'd be any good today. They've cheapened the ingredients. Hopefully that's going to change. I don't know, but I always liked the Pizza Hut buffet. I got to say, the lunch buffet there. Okay. So that was Shoney's. All right. Now the final one, this is so easy. Tagline: when you're here, you're family. That's so easy. What restaurant is that? When you're here, you're family. I don't have a commercial to show. When you're here, you're family. Anybody? Any takers? It's Olive Garden. When you're here, your family. Remember that ad campaign? That was a very popular ad campaign and one that was long lasting. Okay. So Olive Garden was founded on December 13th, 1982 in Orlando, Florida by Curtis Dayton. There you go. So thanks for playing our game. I have other questions, other trivia for Star Trek, but I think it's getting a little late for trivia. I will do Star Trek trivia next time. It's time for the nostalgic expression of the show. This is the old-fashioned nostalgic expression of the show. Gal Friday or his girl Friday. What do you think the origin of that is? Oh, Tracy had guessed Olive Garden. I don't know if the delay. You know, before I do that, I got to open the Christmas cards because I know you probably want to go to bed and you've been very patient. Let me open from Tracy. She sent this to me. I'm not going to, I can't, people will pause it. You know, I don't want to reveal any addresses. Let me open this holiday card. I've never opened this. I think it's so sweet that you did this and you sent this, Tracy. Let's open it. It says, Chance, have a great New Year's. And it's been fantastic so far, 2005. Thank you so much. May the beauty of the season fill your home with joy and peace. Thank you, Tracy. You're a sweetheart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I want to open one from Open by Chance. I'll just open this one. I'll save the other one for next time. I have another one here too. It's because it's kind of late and they're probably not watching. I want them to see it live when I open it. Cover this up. This is from Open by Chance Toys. I can't show their address. They're probably not watching, but I'll let them know that I opened it finally. This is really sweet. Season's greetings. And look at the nostalgic snowman, like Frosty the Snowman. Isn't that cool? I know it's not the holidays. Praying your holidays filled with joy and love. Glad that this year allowed us to form a stronger friendship. Bless you. David Eons is on-air name and his wife. That's so sweet. Thank you all so much. And all right, well, let's get back to the show because nobody cares about but isn't that sweet? Oh yes, Jim Von Spiegel. Can you talk about your Princess Sunday? Yes. Hopefully the editor was kind to me. I had a pretty cool thing to do in a show on NBC and Peacock. It's every Sunday night at 10. And it's called the Grosse Pointe Garden Society. It is a dark comedy and a murder mystery. And it takes place every 6 months, meaning it'll be in present time and then 6 months in the past. And I think it's a really clever show. I can't talk until these things air, but I worked on it again recently, and NBC ordered 13 episodes. I hope it gets renewed. I really like the cast and the crew. And I wish the show all the success in the world. So yeah, it's going to air Sunday at 10. The 4th episode I should appear in, and I'm in it. Unless, and they don't really like facial hair. So unless the editor or the powers that be or the suit said, he's too ugly, cut him out. I mean, like, I'm right there. It's a gross point. It's confusing, but good, said Keebler in the chat. Yeah. And that's the point. It's like Pulp Fiction in that it jumps around and it keeps you engaged. And I can't wait till the episode airs episode 10, which I just been working on. I can't say any more. It's a lot of fun. To heck with what I do, just what a lot of the main players and the stars of the show do in this episode that I observed. It's really a lot of fun. I think you'll like it. So that's all I can say. Tune in this Sunday at 10 to Grosse Point Garden Society and watch it every week if you can. Again, it's on Peacock if you have the Peacock streaming service in the app, or on NBC Network Sundays at 10 p.m. I hope the network gives it a different time slot in season 2 should they order more episodes, but there's 13 episodes. They're going to wrap production as we're live towards the end of March and early April 2025 here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And they're going to start episode 11 next week. So of 13, and that includes a pilot. So I want the show to get picked up. There you go. And then there's other things that I'm super excited about to be released in 2025 where you should see me really good. And I got to do some cool stuff and show what I can do. I like showing what I can do. All right. So not to toot my own horn. Yes, it is this Sunday. So thank you, Jim Von Spiegel, for that. Appreciate it. Let me just see. Where was I? Yes. The old-fashioned expression of the show, Gal Friday or His Gal Friday. I have a visual aid to show you. It's a photograph. Let's see. Photograph. And I should do a movie review after this from JT. Here is Gal Friday. Here is Lex Luthor's Gal Friday. There it is. And I'll tell you the origin. There's what a Gal Friday looks like, at least in comic books, in print media. Okay, what is a Gal Friday or His Girl Friday, and what's the origin of that? Well, a Gal Friday or Girl Friday is the faithful female, their word, not mine, I don't like this word, servant. She's not an action girl on the surface, but neither is she a damsel in distress. Her main job is to help out the hero, usually her boss, at critical junctures. Sometimes she provides critical information. Other times it's just a helping hand or a helping heart. Sometimes with a side of unresolved sexual tension. Don't presume the Girl Friday can't fight. However, she can still kick plenty of ass, sometimes turning into a full-fledged battle butler. A butler that battles. Excuse me. The mainstay of both the workplace dramas and the film noir is a Girl Friday or Gal Friday. In the latter, the hard-boiled lead relies on his Girl Friday as one of the few people he can trust in the world. The term is the distaff counterpart of Man Friday, an expression that comes from Robin Crusoe's Man Friday. Man as in manservant, Friday being his name. It was popularized for female office workers in His Girl Friday, a screwball comedy about a reporter's relationship with her editor/ex-husband. The evil counterpart to his troupe is Secretary of Evil. However, despite intelligence superiority being a crucial part of real-life warfare, it's rare for both heroes and villains in a fictional setting to have this type of character. Compare with the Jeeves, the assistant, the sassy secretary, and the hyper-competent sidekick. A step up from the sexy secretary with whom she's highly likely to overlap. Contrast ignored, enamored underling, and ditzy secretary to His Girl Friday. The 1994 TV movie of this name and the song by the Beat Crusaders are neither the troop namer nor examples of the troop. Okay. All right, let's see here what else I have. Let's do a movie review from JT. The man in the seats, the man in the popcorn, JT, and I have a couple reviews for you from JT. Let's start with a review of Daredevil, which has been premiering on Disney Plus. It's another Marvel live action venture, of course, on Disney Plus. Doesn't matter when you're watching or listening to the show, The Nostalgic Podblast, it's still out there on Disney Plus. Here's a 1 minute, 54-second review of Daredevil Born Again, the first 2 episodes by our man in the seats, JT. Take it away, JT.
Oh, this is movie reviews by JT, and I got another review for you. Daredevil Born Again. This is the continuation of the previous show. And see Charlie Cobb back as Matt Murdock, Daredevil, Vincent D'Onofrio back as Wilson Fisk, and Deborah Ann Wilder back as Karen Page, and Eldon Hansen back as Foggy Nelson. The first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again were so good, crazy, same vibes as the previous show. And I really enjoyed this show a lot, and I can't wait for the rest of the episodes and everything. And yeah, this show was great. I had a good time watching it tonight and everything, and the violence and everything, and yeah, I was so excited for Daredevil Born Again. So when they first announced this show, I thought they was bringing Daredevil back and everything and stuff, getting all the original actors to return and stuff from the previous show and everything. And yeah, and it's finally here, Daredevil Born Again. I enjoyed the first 2 episodes and everything and stuff. And yeah, I can't wait for episode 3 next week and the rest of the episodes after that and everything. And yeah, it's also it was great and everything. So that's my review for Daredevil Born Again, episodes 1 and 2. All right, bye.
Thank you, JT. I got some popcorn in the mail for you, my man. Now, I watched it as well. The person I watched it with, she hated it. I didn't hate it. But if Mad Magazine were still around in print, I think the parody of Daredevil would be called Dull Devil. The first episode had a lot of violence in the beginning. It started strong, but there's very little superhero action as of yet. But look, open mind. There's several episodes yet to air. I've only seen the first 3 as we're live. So I think it's a lot like the Netflix previous show from years ago. There's a lot of character development, but maybe too much character development. I don't know. Yes, he's a lawyer. All right, if you don't know Daredevil, he is a blind superhero who's also an attorney at law. So there's going to be courtroom drama. The 3rd episode was a lot in a courtroom. Okay, but that's okay. It was like Perry Mason. You got to expect that. I know the source material, so it's to be expected. But you know, the person turned to me, where's the superheroes? You know, it's you got to understand. It don't be like an NBC executive of 1964 saying it's too cerebral. Look at the big picture. These are giant movies that are cut into little 30-minute segments. So let's wait. Let's reserve judgment for the entire big picture. I'm sure there'll be a big payoff in terms of action. So thank you, JT, for that review. I think we're pretty much on the same page. I do have another quick review. It's only a minute and a half long that JT did for us for Novocaine. Let's look at that.
Oh, this is movie reviews by JT, and I got another review for you. Novocaine, which stars Jack Craig and Amber McDunder. It opens in theaters this week, Friday, March 14th, and I went to an early screening tonight for the film. This film was good, action-packed, crazy, over the top, a lot of violence. I had a good time watching this film tonight in the theater. Jack Craig and Amber McDunder performances are good. It's one of my favorite films this year on Novocaine. You all having fun watching this movie in theaters this week coming up when it hits theaters, when it opens. and everything. I'm not gonna get too much details into the film though, but everything is right. So this is that's a non-spoiler review. But this film was great and everything. I think you're gonna have a good time watching this film in the theater and everything. And I can't wait to watch this film again very soon and everything and stuff. When I saw the trailer for this film, I thought this film looked good and everything. But I really enjoyed this film a lot and everything. And yeah, a lot of people are going to enjoy this film and everything. I get Navarcane an 8 out of 7. Definitely go check this movie out in theaters this weekend, coming up and everything. So that's my review for Navarcane. All right, bye.
Bye, JT. Thank you, JT. I'll have to check that out. I appreciate the glowing review. Now, in chat, Keebler had asked, have you seen Captain America? Yes, I did. And that was filmed here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And I like it because Harrison Ford, I guess everybody knows this. He plays the president in this movie again, as he did in Air Force One and other movies, and he knocked it right out of the park. And he really opened himself up because he plays, spoiler alert, but it's not much of a spoiler alert, the Red Hulk. So he's fighting a transformation. He's trying to hold back his anger and not transform. And of course, in the climax, he does. And I'm not going to say there's so much action when he becomes Red Hulk. But here's what I like is when he became himself again and de-metamorphosized, you see him without his shirt, and there wasn't any CGI. You know, he's an older man. Let's face it, he's a senior citizen, and I thought that took a lot of courage. It's like he was literally naked. That's the true actor right there, and it's a shock to me. He's never gotten an Oscar award. I know he was nominated for Witness back in '85. Great performance there. I loved him in The Fugitive. That's another thing I was going to talk about is movies that take place during St. Patrick's Day. I don't want to date the show. St. Patrick's Day is Monday as we're live, and The Fugitive. Remember the St. Patrick's Day parade scene in 1993 is The Fugitive, shot in 92 in Chicago, Illinois. Tracy's former hometown or former home, Chicago, Illinois. I love that sequence. There's not a whole lot of movies that take place or feature St. Patrick's Day. A lot of TV shows do. And cartoons, there's great Woody Woodpecker cartoons that have a St. Patrick's Day theme. But yeah. And Keebler, you liked it too. I did too. And some critics were harsh on it. And a lot of people, I like Esposito, the actor. I liked him since Revolution. That was a show I worked on in the pilot NBC long time ago about the power grid going down in the not too distant future. That was a really good show. It lasted a couple seasons on NBC about 10 years ago. Really liked Revolution. I love that actor. I liked it. You know, was it one of my favorite Marvel movies? No, but it wasn't bad. Jim says, quiet, man. Okay, I'm not going to spoil anything. You should see it in the theater too. On the big screen, it was fantastic. All right. Jim Von Spiegel says, oh yeah, Darby O'Gill and the Little People. Yeah, and there was a good Land of the Giants episode that had little people as well. I love the old pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Do you like corned beef and cabbage, or what is your, tell me in the chat, what is your St. Patrick's Day tradition? Do you wear green? Hell, I want to be pinched by certain people. No, but I wear green. I wear green. I should have worn green tonight. Damn. Because on the replay, people might catch this around St. Patrick's Day. Oh, well. But I do have something I can show that pertains to St. Patrick's Day. And I didn't prepare nothing, but, oh, shoot. We've already gone beyond that. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. It ain't easy being green, of course, the Hulk. He's green all the time. I love Lou Ferrigno. He's my favorite version of the Hulk. And, of course, my thumbnail image, I did that intentionally to show a green character, Vina. And She-Hulk. I got to mention She-Hulk as well. And here's a picture of the Hulk in a comic book I acquired recently. There's the Green Hulk, Journey Mystery, issue 112. I know I've shown this before on the program. The first Hulk versus Thor fight that we saw in Thor 3 Ragnarok, one of my favorite Thor films. The Marvel Universe. Let me see what else I have. To tease a few things coming up to the channel. Maybe you don't like Space Giants, but I love it. And I already said this, but in case you missed it, I am going to feature 4 more episodes of the Space Giants. I do 4 a month. And it's time to show you the ones where Rodak teams up with the Mob. And they used American English actors, you know, because that show was filmed in Tokyo in 1966 and 1967. So it's a really exciting storyline. I know Tracy's been digging it. So thanks for that. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. I've got to talk about this really quickly. And I want to talk about our friends at Remind Magazine. This is the best birthday gift you could give because you know what? It's inexpensive. And of course, your gift recipient will think of you all year long. Go to remindmagazine.com. Please mention the Nostalgic Podblast when you order. Here's why. If you're listening or watching this program, the Nostalgic Podblast, the odds are you're into nostalgia. Well, that's what Remind Magazine is all about. And they're running some TV commercials I've noticed on the Buzzer Network. They call it Remind, the voiceover artist. I call it Remind because it reminds you of things. That's how I pronounce it, of our voice in that spot. But the wheelhouse is the 1950s through the 1990s and nothing else. And there's brain-teasing puzzles and games. And the best part is you get 10 issues per year. Give yourself the gift of Remind Magazine. And there's the current edition is live featuring the Rat Pack. Excuse me. I can't talk. I'm losing my voice. It's just like the old days when you're a kid. If you're a Gen Xer like me, you may remember Mad Magazine that I talked about earlier. I loved one my grandma gave me, National Geographic's World Magazine, which was like a kid's magazine, the kids' version of National Geographic. And there were all sorts of cool articles about solar-powered homes back in the late 70s, early 80s, robots. All this stuff has become reality nowadays. Comic book subscriptions. Well, Remind, there's a special. It's going to expire soon. I got word from them. It's going to expire really soon. You can give the gift for just $12 for an entire year. But you've got to call them or go to the website to claim this offer. So the first year only, and then it's only $2 an issue or $24 a year. Now, get this. The retail price is $5.99 an issue if you were to go to Barnes & Noble. It costs $5.99 plus tax. But this price is out the door, including postage, including tax. So please give Remind for a birthday gift or a graduation gift coming up, whatever the occasion, or give it to yourself. Just go to remindmagazine.com. They accept all major credit cards. And if you call the number at 1-855-773-6463, that's 855-773-6463, a kind order specialist will assist you in processing your Remind Magazine subscription. And please mention the Nostalgic Podblast when you order. Thanks, Remind. All right. So now, let's see if I have anything else for you. We've gone almost 3 hours. I didn't want this to be a terribly long show. Quick in case you tune in late, I will be with the stars at Stellar Fest in Duluth, Georgia, April 4th through the 6th, 2025, interviewing some of the stars, including Marta Kristen, Judy Robinson of Lost in Space, and Sandra Gimple. I can't wait to meet her. She did all sorts of TV shows. Talked about it earlier. I don't want to rehash and have a rerun within the show itself, but I'm really excited about that. So please check them out on their website. Go to stellarfest.org for more information. That's stellarfest.org. Let me spell that out. STELLARFEST.org. Stellarfest.org. Check it out if you're into sci-fi TV. See if there's anything else. Also playing on the Nostalgic Podblast YouTube channel is The Pilot. This was by request. Real pilots, real aviators say this is the most accurate aviation movie ever. And it's about an alcoholic pilot. And it was directed and starring Cliff Robertson from 1980. It did not get wide release. It's only released on VHS in the U.S. I hope it'll get a proper release soon. It's a really good movie. They say it's the most, real pilots say it's the most accurate movie depiction. It's much better than Flight. A lot of people in the comments that are real pilots said it's so preposterous how they showed an upside down plane in Flight. I like Flight. Denzel Washington's one of my favorite actors. But anyway, to talk positively about this movie, they say it is just the most accurate when it comes to the logs. And there's been so much news about plane incidents. Crazy stuff. 2025 is going to be a big year. Excited about the new Superman movie. I'm excited about the new Fantastic Four movie, which was shot in London, England. That's coming up later this year. I can't wait to see it. A lot of things coming up. Let me now look at the chat, and I think I'm going to sign off soon. Oh, yeah, to put it on camera. Yeah, Remind Magazine. There's the number, 855-773-6463. Thank you so much to one of my mods, Keebler, for that. And there she even linked up Stellar Fest. Thank you so much. Yeah, coming up in early April 2025, April 4th through the 6th. That's a Friday through Sunday. I'll be there. Can't wait. Let's see here. Oh, Jim Von Spiegel is going to celebrate Beer Crawl tomorrow in Ohio. Very cool at Darby O'Gill. All right. Yeah, I love some good Irish food. Heck yeah. Let me just quickly scan. Hello to Lance Chafin. I didn't say hey to him. He was watching earlier. Sorry about that, Lance. Hey to is it Oliver Greg? Oiler Greg, like Houston Oilers. That's got you, Oiler Greg. Hey to you. Oh man, he had left all sorts of comments. I wasn't paying attention to the chat. I am so sorry. Let's see. Joe Gutfeld had said Jill Ireland was one of the most beautiful women in the first season of Star Trek. Yes, and that she was married to the actor who played Ilya Kuryakin in the original Man from U.N.C.L.E. television show. He also played Ducky in NCIS. And he was in one of my favorite Outer Limits, the original Outer Limits of all time, Dave McCallum. But then she married another legendary actor, in my opinion, Charles Bronson. She passed away sadly from cancer, but they were married to the end. Jill Ireland. Yes, and she played Spock's love in This Side of Paradise. We'll talk about it next time when we continue and conclude talking about the women of Star Trek, the actors, the female actors on Star Trek, the actresses from season 1 of Star Trek, and we'll continue on through season 3. Okay. Oh, Kay Moonen, I had to catch the it said he's going to catch the replay. Good evening, everyone, says Kay Moonen, or said Kay Moonen in Florida, popping in to say hi, drop a like. I have to catch the replay. Enjoy the show. Thank you so much. Thank you. And Danny Staten was here. Skeleton was here. I know I mentioned or showed that. I don't think I mentioned it. Jim Von Spiegel said, hey, Chance, to me. Your humble host, Chance Bartels, that's me, of the Nostalgic Podblast. Tracy said, hi, you gang. She hung in here a long time. This has been a long show. Joe Gutfeld said, NBC was famous for screwing great TV shows like Baywatch and Star Trek. I didn't know Baywatch was a network show. I always thought that was in syndication. Wow, learn something new every day. Was it not rerun syndication? Susan Oliver died of cancer. I know I read that comment. Sally Kellerman was in Back to School. I mentioned that. Yes, she was. Nomad, sterilize all imperfections. Yes, and Nomad was in the Changeling, season 2 of original Star Trek. And they sort of used that, part of that concept in Star Trek the Motion Picture with Beeger, which actually was Voyager 6 that merged with an alien entity that was designed to sterilize things. Okay, Kirk prefers green women. Euler Greg had said. Oh, and he says, I wager 10 quatlus on the blonde thrall. Oh, yes, I'll get to her. Angela, yeah. Petty John. Yeah, in the Game Search of Triskelion, season 2 episode, great reference there. Captain Pike, yep. I know I'm way behind here. And little trivia. Did you know they never actually said in the original Star Trek the line, beam me up, Scotty. It was always up, beam us up, Mr. Scott, or beam me up, Scotty, which was on many bumper stickers over the years. That line was never uttered in the original Star Trek television show. Little known fun fact. But Trekkers and Trekkies know that. But for the average Joe and Jill, I don't think that's that widely known. Hey, Terrell. Hey, Chance. Do you miss me? Miss you? Yeah, man. What do you mean miss you? I didn't know she was a child model early on. Yeah. Okay. Talking about, Talking about Andrea Drom. I heard that Grace was also a singer. Yep. Okay. Grace Lee Whitney left Star Trek midway through season 1. Now, I have on video. I didn't mention this. This is exciting news for my channel, the Nostalgic Podblast. I bought some gear. I bought a converter for my 1987 JVC that ran on microtapes, and the converter of mine broke some years ago. I got one that works. And also I have a machine that converts VHS to digital to DVD, and hence I can upload it into my supercomputer. I have such incredible exclusive footage that I shot 1992, one-on-one with Jonathan Harris, Dr. Zachary Smith. That's not been out there. That's original content, my content. When I met Christopher Reeve in 1994, I shot video of him with my camcorder. I'm going to unveil that on my channel. I have all sorts of celebrity interviews. I have my trip to New York City in September of 2000 with Grace Lee Whitney, asking her what she thought of William Shatner. All sorts of content that's going to be on my channel, either in video format, and I'll feature it within the live show as well. Really exciting stuff. Things that I filmed. Super excited. Now, here's a little thing, a little issue I had. This unit was inspected. It is actually a Toshiba who's out of business now. Toshiba is a backup unit I bought because my VHS on my unit I got new in 2009 as a Christmas gift was starting to go funky. And it probably remember VHS head cleaner? It probably just requires that. I need to go to Amazon, see if you can still buy such a thing. My friend Al Hardy says you can, but I didn't want to waste any time. So I just bought a whole new unit. Well, I put in a VHS tape and it won't eject properly. And luckily the seller gave me like a partial refund. They were really cool. After I left them good feedback before I checked out the machine, I took his word for it that the machine was in good working order. So my point is, I don't want to put my converter in there without actually either getting another unit that works, because the VHS, I need a better working VHS. That's the whole reason I bought this one. So I have all sorts of stuff I'm so excited about that's going to be exclusive to my channel, the Nostalgic Podblast. Cannot wait. So I can't risk having my converter unit, now that I have a working one, getting stuck in there. Now, the second time that I put a VHS in there, it came out more evenly. Hopefully it's a situation where maybe that wasn't used that often. It needed to be broken in. That's possible. Now, Al Hardy says all you have to do is lubricate the heads and it should eject better. I didn't realize that would be the issue because, yeah, you can take the top off. So get a screwdriver, take the thing apart, and just check out the rotating heads, as he said. So anyway, whatever. So once I get that squared away, which will be soon, you're going to see some really cool footage. The Jonathan Harris stuff, especially Dr. Zachary Smith. That's the time he pinched my butt. He goes, "Night chance," and he pinched me on the rear end. I've told that story many times on the Podblast, but I got video of him with my camcorder, the JVC. I should have pulled a picture. I'll show you a picture of the camcorder. It looks like the one from 1985, shot in 84, Back to the Future that Marty McFly had. But this is a better model than that, actually, but it is a 1987. Back to the Future Part 1 was filmed in 1984, released obviously in 1985. But hang on, I'm going to show you a picture of this camcorder. I want you guys and gals to see this before we sign off. Sorry, listeners. I know this is really bad audio, but this show has really evolved into a television show. I mean, the Nostalgic Podblast is really a video show. So I'm trying to make it audio friendly as well, but we've evolved in a good way to we're more of a television show than a radio or audio podcast platform. All right, here's the picture because I posted it in the Nostalgic Podblast blog. By the way, I am doing blog posts, and I have been for some time, in the post section of my YouTube channel, the Nostalgic Podblast. If you click posts, it used to be called community posts. Now it's posts. I have all sorts of nostalgic articles, images, and fun. I honor birthdays of our favorite stars and musicians. Not all of them, but some that are notable. I think you will dig it. If you're not into Facebook, because I also do that there, or Twitter, X, I'm not on there that much. Really, X doesn't do much for me. And that's not a statement against X. It just doesn't. I have more action from YouTube and Facebook. Okay. This is my machine. Let me get this picture up. Let me get it up. That's what she said. Sorry, family show. Let me show you this camcorder deal. And then, I can show you the tapes. Wait till you see this. I can show you that tonight. Let me get the tapes and show you just some of the many tapes. All right, let me upload the picture of the very camcorder and I'll grab the tapes. Come on now, let's see here. Here it comes. This literally is an ad of my camcorder I had since 1987. Also, I shot in March of 88, a video at a shopping mall, Perimeter Mall. It's loaded with nostalgia, the food court, and we were doing man on the street stuff, really kind of messing with people. It's pretty funny, I think, but that is the actual unit. I still have it. It still works. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. Let me show you some micro tapes and my converter that I got. Yes, sir. I'm so excited. You're going to love it. I just know people are going to love this. Here's what the tapes look like. Here's the converter I just got, the working converter. You open it up like so. It's motorized, runs on a AA battery. Look, ooh, and the thing flips up. these are the micro tapes, right? And I got to convert these digitally. You put the tape into the converter. Here's the tape. It's a really, at the time, it was a really advanced JVC. Oh, you pop it in there. You pull that, push that down. See, it works. And then you pop it into a VHS to DVD machine, a Toshiba, and you convert it. I love this. So I haven't had a working one of these. Listen to that. Oh, shit. Shucks. Excuse me. Family show. Thought I messed it up. Isn't that cool? Look at all these. This is just some of the micro tapes. I got a whole bag. Camelot Music. Here's nostalgia for you. Out of Ohio. This is a bag from the late 80s, but look inside. I don't know if you can see this. I have not just this. I have so much video. I mean, this is not junk. This is awesome stuff. Oh, my God. St. Louis, 1993 at the, oh my God, the train. Oh, that might, I don't know, that might be of interest to some younger folks. Oh my God. Stand-up comedy, Marshall University, fall of 1992, Huntington, West Virginia. Okay. That, I have footage of Hillary Clinton I shot on the campaign trail of 92 when she kicked some people will like that. I don't know. I don't like to go politics, and I know she's polarizing, but it's still good footage. I mean, I have Christopher Reeve, already said that. I mean, guys, this channel is going to go to a whole nother level with exclusive content. I think you're going to love it. Camelot Music. Remember that? The mall music store? Ah. God dang. And, oh, shoot. Here you go. Here, this was bad audio, but pretty good video. We're a TV show. You can watch a show on your TV if you go to the YouTube free app on your TV. Just search The Nostalgic Podblast. You can watch a show on your television. All right, here's the bag it came in. Still have it. Tapes everywhere of things I shot, I filmed. Got them every. What the hell is this? There you go. Main Mission Part 3. That's New York City, Labor Day weekend 2000, where I filmed all sorts of celebrities, people you wouldn't believe were there. June Foray. Cartoon voice artist, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Grace Lee Whitney. I already said that. Here it is. There it is. Look, it still works. That is, I haven't put the lens cap on the thing. It's a GR25. And it runs on a battery, of course, a rechargeable battery. It works. It's alive. She's alive, alive. It's the caffeine, folks. I'm not on drugs. Well, caffeine's a drug, but a legal drug. All right. So there's that. Coming soon to the Podblast. You're not going to believe what I got. Oh, shit. Where are you? Want to show you this, too. Is that mic still working? Look at this. I meant to show these. Star Trek poster books. I'm going to show these throughout this presentation, the series, and I need to finish up the Deceased Game Show host series. I never finished that one up. But these are 1976 giant poster books of Star Trek. I have some autographed by the stars. Many of them are no longer with us, unfortunately, that I had signed for me. But these are really great. I'll feature them as we go along in our series, honoring the actresses of Star Trek. I'll probably get to the actors, too, down the line of the original Trek, and we'll go into some of the spinoff shows. Let me show you some of these covers. They're really cool, if not all the covers. These aren't even worth that much. They should be. You open them up. The posters are fantastic. Show you. There's the Enterprise. I love this shot of Kirk. I have 2 copies of this from the episode Mary. And that's where we'll pick up. That's the 12th episode in production order. We left off with episode 11, Dagger of the Mind, tonight. There's that. For the love of Jim. Man, cool. Voyage 8. And I love how it says Voyage. Now, Alan Asherman wrote the liner notes. He wound up writing Star Trek books. I mean, books about the show. When I was in high school, I had really checked out. I didn't like the classes. So I would read about Star Trek. I would read Files magazine, which was like a British. John Peel wrote those. Are critiques of the original Star Trek episodes. I read The Making of Star Trek. I was just all into Star Trek, classic Star Trek. Let me show you Voyage 13. I love these. Voyage 14, there's a shot from where no man's gone before. The first one was Shatner. Note the differences in the makeup on Spock and the costumes. There's the Horta 26th episode in production order, Devil in the Dark, the big pizza monster. That's a recycled Outer Limits monster from the episode The Probe, episode 48, the final original black and white episode of final black and white era from 1965. It was the very last episode, The Probe, from January 65, 48th episode. And they recycled that monster. And a lot of the same production people that worked on original Outer Limits went to Star Trek. Anyway, there's Voyage 16 from Mirror Mirror, 4th episode in aired order, 39th in production order. So that would have been the 9th episode in production order for season 2 in production order, but the 4th that aired. There's Voyage 17. It's funny how the networks, and then I have the poster books for the movies. There's the motion picture poster book. And Star Trek 2. I have Star Trek 3, 4. Oh, it's interesting. Anyone who watched The Invaders in production order, the first one filmed for season 2 was The Enemy. Although it was like, I think the 5th one in aired order. And that's the one with Richard Anderson reverting back as an alien, reverting back to his human form. That was the first episode in production order filmed for season 2 of The Invaders. Yet they chose Condition Red. The network did, ABC, to kick off that season 2 of The Invaders. September 5th, 1967, I believe. It's when that aired. All right. I guess it's time to say goodnight. We've gone over 3 hours. Let me check some comments. Don't forget, Dr. Noel. I did. Euler Greg. Oh, that was earlier on. I forgot. I was doing the comments. That was, yeah, and I did. Sherry Jackson was hot, but I like Joan Collins. Yeah, Joe Gutfeld, New York State. Yeah, but I didn't like her look. Great character. I didn't like that short. I like women with longer hair. That's just me. She looked better in Space 1999, actually, season 1 in Mission of the Darians, but she was wearing a wig, but it was a long-haired wig. Let's get on with the trivia, he had said. I'm here, said Tracy. She's probably gone to bed by now. Dagger of the Mind's one of the best episodes of the series. Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah, we already addressed that one. A little controversial comment there. Oh, yeah, now that, okay, I think we're caught up for the most part. Good night. Good night to you. Okay, yeah. It's been a long one. All right, guys. Good night. We'll see you next time on the Podblast. Let me find a clip to sign off with. I get all wound up on caffeine. It's been a while since I've done a Podblast. I'm just really excited about life. Things are going really well for me. Hope they remain so. Thank you for dropping the links, Keebler. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate everyone that watched live. Appreciate everyone that watches on the replay. Let's make sure I didn't leave anything out. I don't think I did. And we'll continue next time on the Nostalgic Podblast with Star Trek Women. We'll do the second half of season 1. We'll close out season 1 for sure. And then the time after that, we'll start season 2. I don't want to have a 6-hour show. I can't do 6-hour shows anymore. But the Women of Star Trek will be next on tap on the Podblast. And also, I have one coming up I'm really excited about. I have an interview I can't announce yet. And also, I'm going to do a show about nostalgic candies that you can and cannot get. I know we're nowhere near Halloween, but we're near Easter, and Easter's kind of a candy holiday, if you will. So thank you again for dropping those links. Appreciate everybody being here. And let me just now find something to sign off with that won't be an issue with the damn copyright. See you next time on the Nostalgic Podblast. I'm Chance Bartels, your host. Good night.